It's October the 11th, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. It's our TNA post show. So Jeremy Lambert's here to talk about TNA for the next 2 hours as we absolutely have nothing else to talk about. Hi, Jeremy Lambert. How are you? Did you enjoy TNA Impact last night?
The background isn't showing up on my feed. It's just a black background for me.
Oh, it's showing up on mine. I can see it. And if I can see it, that means everyone else can see it. If everyone else can see it, then they can comment on what it is.
What if I take it away? Now
But
is it
now
gone?
it's black background. Now it's
there. Now it's showing up for me. It was just annoying. It was frustrating to just see a black background. So.
I feel like if you had jiggled around the screen, it would have come back for you.
Nah.
Seems like a graphics card issue on your side.
Nah, I just took it away and it's back now. It's fine.
We needed Mike Straw to diagnose the problem.
Yeah.
Our good pal, Michael J. Straw. Also a Discord moderator on Fightful Select. Go join that. How are you doing, Jeremy? How are you feeling?
I'm well. How are you?
It's Friday.
Yeah.
There was no wrestling there was no wrestling on Wednesday for us to really catch up on today. We talked about all the other wrestling. I watched TNA and I did a post show last night. Cresta came back, so you can go watch that. It was a good, fun post show. We got really weird for a lot of it. So enjoy that.
I mean, that's not out of the ordinary with Cresta.
That is par for the course. But to have Cresta back was nice. We had a good conversation about stuff that isn't happening in TNA. So that was nice. Go look at that on the main channel. But, I'm good. I'm tired. People know that Fridays are kind of a hell day for me because I'm up so late on Thursdays. And then I'm up early every day. So I'm just kind of getting through it. That's what we do. But we get through it together, right? All together now. With a thumbs up on the video. Get your fireworks going, baby. Can I get the fireworks going? Okay, good. Yeah.
I'm trying, Joel.
I don't know. Maybe the cars are getting in the way. There they are.
No,
cars
the
be damned.
explosion's part of the Fast and the Furious.
That's true. Our quarter mile at a time has returned. And of course,
everyone gets it. Everyone gets it. This is the background. I'm going to keep this background until I get tired of it. But we're going to continue to have this background to remind everybody every time you watch this show, live your life a quarter mile at a time.
So you can be ready for a new background come Monday.
Nah, I like this background. It's cool.
All right, keep it for a little while. Do you want to own one of those cars? Which one would you have? The red one or the black one?
I didn't have the red one. But I had my first car was a 92 Toyota Celica. Had like spoiler on the back. It was a nice little car for, first car. No. Then I had a Mustang. And I got a bunch of kids. So now I got to have a vehicle that can tote all the kids.
You had a Mustang?
Yeah.
That's wild. I had no idea.
Yeah, I did a 2006 Mustang.
When you moved to Ohio, were you still in that Mustang, or did you sell it by then?
No, I had the Mustang. I had the Mustang when I moved here in the Mustang.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm surprised, because that's a lot of stuff in a small space.
Yeah, well, we rented a U-Haul, and my parents had a Tahoe, so that's pretty big.
Yeah, I got
vehicle. It. And yeah, we rented a U-Haul to tote everything in as well. But once I moved here and got a bunch of kids, that's when I sold the Mustang and got the vehicle that I have now.
People saying get a Subaru, maybe get an Outback.
Nah, good. I'm not really in the mood for a Bloomin' Onion.
Well, just go and get it and hope it tastes good. Hey, by the way, go and tell us your first car in the chat. And maybe if you're watching after the fact, put it in the comments. I don't need to hear about how you hate AEW and we hate AEW, therefore everyone hates AEW together, because it's not true. It's not true.
Why are we hating AEW?
People saying that we're AEW haters, you and I.
When did they say that?
It was a comment that got deleted after the fact.
Why'd you delete it?
I actually did not delete it, believe it or not.
Oh.
I didn't. I was like, all right, listen, feel the way you feel about the show that you like that we didn't. That's okay. Don't call us out and call us haters. But you can tell us.
You can call us haters. That's fine.
I mean, I guess any engagement is good engagement, right, Jeremy Lambert?
Nah, not necessarily.
Thank you. I agree. I'm one step closer every day to getting rid of that hellscape of an app that has one letter attached to it. But anyway, not important. Donated super chat. Any question statement around the air? Yes, E.
Get the F out.
That's true. I do hate everything that isn't 2003 WoW Women of Wrestling. Was WoW a thing in 03? I feel like, is that their first one? When was WoW's first run? I feel like that was 01. So maybe it was.
WoW's first run was way back when, wasn't it? Oh, that was Glow, not WoW.
Yeah, that's Glow. That's Glow.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. Man, can't believe I remembered that they started around that time. Apparently, I'm trying to steal everyone's identity according to the ITW anonymous general manager. It's true.
Why are you stealing identities?
Well, because I can't steal our guest identity at noon. Logan Knight's going to be joining us. We're going to talk about the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission stance on pro wrestling and a lot more. Logan's been doing a little bit of media about this. He was on Pollock and Thurston on Wednesday. I highly recommend checking that out as well. Logan's got a lot to say about this. He was in the room for the debate, the conversation about the addition of pro wrestling, or I guess how pro wrestling would be. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Classified?
Classification. Yeah, the classification of pro wrestling in Oklahoma State, or in the state of Oklahoma. He's got a lot of insight into that as someone who works out there and in the surrounding states. Very interesting comment that he left Pollock and Thurston with was that he offered tickets to watch a show that I think was in Wichita, Kansas, where he wrestles intergender matches, and his tag team partner is a woman. So he basically said, "Hey, Oklahoma State Athletic Commission members, why don't you come and watch my match, and you'll see that it's safe, everything's cool, and everyone's on the up and up." And they said, "Yeah, we'll come." And of course, they haven't gone. So there's that. So Logan's going to join us at noon Eastern. Looking forward to that conversation because it's been a lot of back and forth on a lot of different topics in Oklahoma.
They should just watch Sean's match against Shaza and be like, all right, you know what? This is fine.
Maybe Sean has to go there. Maybe Sean has to take a trip to Oklahoma and be like, guys, what he's got to do. What's up, you guys? And tell everyone how safe it is. I'm looking forward to the chat with Logan. I'm not as well versed on the topic. Obviously, Logan is, so we're looking forward to picking his brain about it. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Well, that's what he's here for. We're going to get some background information and get some more information so we can learn, and hopefully others listening and viewing can learn as well.
Absolutely. Well, above all that, we got 2 hours to fill until that happens. So where do we start? Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth teamed up on.
I was about to say, you're going to break. You are always going to break first. You see that clip of Dave and Brian? Brian's coughing.
Yes.
And Dave just doesn't fill the air. I laughed so hard because I'm like, this is what I do to Joel all the time.
Dave just sitting there with the stupid microphone in his hand.
See, when you're coughing or something, I'll actually try to fill the air. I don't want it to be dead purposefully like that. But if we're just not going to fill it, I will purposely not fill it because I know you will break before I will every single time.
I'm aware of this. Again, people know that I like to have no dead air where I can. It does make it easier when there is some dead air that I can add an ad break in the audio version. But other than that, I got the ITW general manager saying he will never break. And it's true. I know this. I am well aware. Jeremy, if nothing else, is very steadfast in his
I'm committed to two things, Joel. My wife and the bits. Not always in that order.
Put it on a t-shirt. Probably sell very well. Is the Gatorade, is that a water bottle or is the Gatorade just a different color?
It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh, damn it. I don't have the video close by. All right, just pretend that we did this right away. Where'd you put it?
Hold on, I'll take another sip. We want to rewind it here? Okay.
All right, can we go back? Is that water? What's in that Gatorade bottle today? That's what color is that?
It's clear.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Anyway, going back to the Dave Meltzer stuff. Dave had reported today in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that there's talk that The Rock might not work WrestleMania, which begs the question, what the hell was he doing in Atlanta?
He's doing one thing and one thing only.
Mono. the final boss. And here we go. This is how good. The final. God damn, that's good shit.
God damn, that's good shit. I will never not repeat those words. Yeah. He was just there to get his mana off.
Yeah, you just got to get the mana, baby. Mana!
You read this. What did you think about this?
I didn't think much of it. We're so far away from WrestleMania. I don't think it's set at all at this point. I'm still under the belief that he's working this event. I don't think that he did this and it was not going to work WrestleMania. It does maybe lend a little bit more credence to my he's going to wrestle at Rumble theory. I don't know if he's going to beat Cody at Rumble now, but it does feel like he might beat the Siri is trying to like do something on my phone. I didn't say Siri. I said Mana. Like
maybe it heard Moana and decided that's the trigger word.
Maybe Mana is the trigger word. Shut up, Siri. I don't know what's happening there. Whatever.
It's time for a new watch. That's what's happening.
Well, it's not a watch, it's my phone.
Oh, that's much worse.
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know what my phone's trying to do. It's just trying to do everything.
Anyway, we're talking about The Rock and what's going to happen with him. Yeah, you mentioned the Royal Rumble potential. It's entirely possible that that's the match, but I mean they're doing it in Indiana. They're doing it in a big stadium at Lucas Oil Stadium. So there's going to be a crowd. There's going to be eyes on it. It will have WrestleMania implications, but I mean after that, what do you do? Are you doing Cody Roman 3?
That would make the most sense, honestly. Like I don't know where else they're gonna go unless you're doing Roman and Jacob Fatu. But I think The Rock's working this show. I know Dave's reporting. I think The Rock's working this show. If he does it, more power to Dave. He's right on this one. Plans can change.
So I'm looking at a few people who have pointed out, Moana is going to be taped. I'm so old. Moana is going to be in production in 2025. Fast X Part 2, where he was at the end of Fast X, so it looks like he may be coming back to the franchise. That's another one that's I think slated for shooting in 25. It could very well be that he can't do it because of his filming schedule, and he's just said I'm out. I don't know what the deal is. It's very strange, And Kim Gray is asking the question on Super Chat, saying, "Question because I'm behind on wrestling. What did Rock mean by the 1, 2, 3 throat slash at the end of Bad Blood?" And that kind of led people to think it was a triple threat match between Rock, Cody, and Roman at WrestleMania. That's obviously none of that. That's all speculation. None of that's official. Nothing's out there, but that seems to be the feeling. And of course, now you get this little bit of he might not be there. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that he's out of WrestleMania. It would make no sense for him to be here.
I think he's working Mania. I don't know what he meant by the 1, 2, 3 throat slash. Truthfully, when I saw it, I thought it was like a reminder that he pinned Cody. It was a reminder that like, hey, I pinned you 1, 2, 3, and then the throat slash because like he did that in the lead up to WrestleMania as well. It's just something that he's like doing because he feels like it's a cool final boss move. Like that's it. I don't read more into it than hey, The Rock thinks this looks cool and fits the final boss character, and so that's it. But yeah, I thought the 1, 2, 3 was just. I'm reminding you that I pinned you 1, 2, 3. People are taking it as Cody, Roman, Jimmy were all in the ring, and so he was like, "You 3 are finished." You can see that as well.
It could be that he's trying to put a high sign to Solo and the Tongans that these are the 3 men that are going to take you out, or I'm telling these 3 guys to cut it out. There's a lot of different views on what it could be. I didn't really walk into it thinking triple threat when I saw the 1, 2, 3 and the throat slash. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna take out all 3 guys, whatever all 3 guys those are. That's part of the story. But I never really saw it as this is me setting up a WrestleMania match. Also, triple threats at WrestleMania for a title don't really speak to me so much. I'd rather have a one-on-one match with those stakes and not a triple threat where someone gets protected or someone just is part of the match for some of the time, but not all the time. It's an awkward match to produce. I understand why you do it with a guy like The Rock, but like Rock can still do a match. It's just going to be a lot of walk and brawl, which again goes to your point about doing something at the Rumble. If it's a street fight or something like that, you can get away with putting it together, especially if you trust the person you're in the ring with to keep you safe and not injure you for the rest of the year.
Oh, the triple threat matches in WWE are always go outside the ring for 20 minutes so the other two can have a one-on-one match and then switch out. So you can do a triple threat match. I think a triple threat match is fine for WrestleMania. I just don't think that's going to be what it is. You got 2 nights now, so you can do the double main event type thing if you need to. I still think he's wrestling at Rumble, and then they're still doing a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, whether he wrestles Roman at Rumble, whether he wrestles Cody at Rumble, and then whoever it might be at Mania. Let's say The Rock doesn't wrestle at WrestleMania. Let's say this turns out to be accurate. Then what?
That's it. I don't know.
Come up with something, Joel. Come on.
If he doesn't show up at Mania?
Yeah.
Well, then, like I said, we're kind of back at Cody and Roman again.
Sure, but like, where does Rock fit? Does he wrestle at Rumble? Does he wrestle at SummerSlam? Like, he doesn't just come back and then he's never seen again.
So again, this is the problem with if it is a taping schedule issue, not taping schedule, but a shooting schedule issue, then you have to assume that he's out as long as he's filming. And if he's filming multiple projects, then he's not going to be available for any of those matches. He's not going to be available for any appearances at that point. So you don't even have him for all of 2025. I don't know what the schedule would be like that would allow him to even do one match. If it is that way, that's going to define when he's available. So in other words, if they're shooting Moana in January, probably not going to be doing anything for the Rumble because that'll be January through February, maybe a little bit longer. If they're doing something around WrestleMania time, same idea. Like it depends on the schedule. So SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series
2 nights.
SummerSlam is 2 nights. That's a big way to get people to actually pay attention to the fact that your SummerSlam in 25 is a 2-night ordeal, and it's back in MetLife. Maybe that is your Rock and Cena 3. I know people have been clamoring for that one. I don't love the idea of doing it, and it's going to depend on what other stories you've got. But people have clamored for Rock Cena 3. Is that a SummerSlam main event?
Sure, but you can't do that and not follow anything on the Bloodline stuff. And,
well, that's the thing. You would have to assume that something on the Bloodline has already happened or is going to happen out of that. I don't know. I'm not running for Rock Cena 3 until this Bloodline story is completed, at least his part of it. But also you've got Rock and Cena. Cena's done after 2025, right? This is it. So I'm curious, but if he's not going to be at Mania, he'll be somewhere. It just comes down to his schedule.
He's going to show up in Saudi next month. Cody's going to be holding the dumb Crown Jewel title, and The Rock's going to come out with his dumb People's title. Which title is more meaningless? Let's find out.
The one that cost more. He's gonna drive all the way to Saudi in that big black Ford truck. He's gonna have that stupid thing.
ZZ Top playing the entire time.
Sir, it's a 12-hour flight. Can we please change the CD in the car? No.
Not even a CD. It's the same song.
Just no, Mana. But sir, you're drunk. I don't care. I'm not driving this thing.
Advocate for that.
Not at all. It's a self-driving car. It's fine.
Oh, is it?
It might be worse if it is. Play it back. I said play it back.
He's got to get a driver if he's going to drink all the Mana. Just The Rock in the back seat. I guess the Ford has I think it's a Ford. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I think it's a Ford. I think it's a massive Ford F-150 just souped up to the nines.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had more to it beyond the driver.
No, I couldn't remember.
He's just going to get Brian Gewirtz to drive him. No bus, just truck. We're going to do it like the old days. Let me tell you about the territories. Oh, man. We'll see where this story goes. But I mean, listen, I don't know if I'm going to replace the thumbnail with this because it's big enough news that it's out there. It's in the newsletter. It's in Wrestling Observer newsletter. I'm 100% sure that people are going to be asking Sean about this. I'm 100% sure that there is going to be more to come on the topic. And again, things can change. Maybe they said the plan is right now he can't do it because of something, but we're going to find out soon enough as the reporting continues. But this is the first time we've heard that The Rock is potentially unavailable for WrestleMania this year, which would definitely change a lot of fantasy plans that people have been making. No triple threats, just one-on-ones.
Maggie's in the chat. Maggie, I hope you're doing well. I know you responded to my message, and I saw it, and I've not responded. But I'm glad you're here. You're doing well. I know you had to go through. I won't put it up there, but go through a procedure yesterday.
Yeah, I hope you're well. I have nothing to add to that because you said it all. Would you like to say more?
Nice. We appreciate Maggie.
We do. There's no coexisting today. They decided that they're going to postpone for this week, but we always appreciate Rob and Maggie as well. Welcome to our chat. I'm sorry, and you're welcome. Where should we go?
Coexisting is tomorrow. I don't know what time yet, but it's tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Glad to hear that. I saw that they weren't doing it today. On the topic of The Rock, I mean, we're going to do a SmackDown preview later on the show, but Roman Reigns is back on SmackDown tonight. He is advertised. What does Roman Reigns say, knowing that The Rock's come back and they got to do something about this story?
Should ignore him.
Just ignore him for the rest of the show?
Just comes out, throws the one up.
He didn't get the special Roman Reigns returns graphic. He didn't get with the big, bloodline tribal background. No, he got the black and white treatment on the SmackDown website. It's not as fun.
He'll get it.
We'll see what happens at the beginning of the show. And when it happens, we'll take a screen cap, we'll post it, and we'll add it to the wall of Roman Reigns returns promos. That's my favorite.
Oh, that's a good suggestion, King Potato. He comes out with the mana and he drinks it. He's like, this shit sucks. Just goddamn, this shit sucks.
If you ever want to get the Rock off his ass fast enough, that's what you do.
Then he's drinking Jose Cuervo. It's like, this is the real right here.
Oh God, Cuervo is gonna jump up for that sponsorship so fast. You think that's part of The Rock's contract? No other tequila can be a sponsor other than Terramana.
Probably.
What's another tequila brand that could have?
I don't drink tequila.
I don't either. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe Chat knows, but
Pepe Lopez, is that a tequila brand? I'm gonna assume Maggie's a bartender. I'm gonna assume she knows.
That's true. All the people. Let's take a look. Pepe Lopez tequila.
She of all people should know the tequila brands.
No, she's right. Yeah, Pepe Lopez tequila.
I would assume she was right.
I don't know. Maybe she was talking about what Roman Reigns was going to come out and say, and just say Pepe Lopez. And that's it. He's going to walk out.
Patron.
Patron, absolutely. Yeah, let's go on. Yeah, Costico tequila. That's the one I would like.
Double chunk chocolate tequila.
Kirkland brand tequila. I don't think Hello is a brand of tequila, but Hello.
You never know.
There might be. Let's take a look. Hello
from the other side.
It's true.
Tequila from the other side.
Could you imagine if Adele had a tequila? She would call it Hello from the other side. Nope.
Yeah, that was the joke, Joel. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm just letting you know that I got the joke and I have put it back.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing called Hello Tequila. I'm sorry. Anyway, the Roman stuff, you have to follow up on the Cody and KO stuff. So I assume that's kind of off on its own for a little bit. The heck does Roman do? Going to go after the bloodline on his own with Jimmy?
Well,
is it Roman and Jimmy versus Solo and Jacob Fatu, Crown Jewel?
Maybe. Like, we're getting to Survivor Series and we're getting to Jay coming back in there and potentially Sammy coming back in there against the current iteration of Bloodline. Like, that's what we're getting to. Yeah.
And so I guess now is is Roman going to be the one to challenge for the War Games match?
No, I think it's going to be the Bloodline, new Bloodline challenging Solo Issues, the challenge. Maybe this is how you still fit The Rock in there. I don't think maybe The Rock does War Games. You never know. Like, it's not like he's got to do a ton in that match. He comes in last, so hits all his high spots and then gets out of there. He didn't have to do a bunch in that.
Does he have anything to film in Vancouver? I mean,
Vancouver. A lot of stuff in Canada.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vancouver is a hotbed for filming right now.
Yeah,
maybe he's got something going on over there. Listen, I know you and I have never been huge proponents on The Rock being a part of War Games, but maybe if this is how you get him in before the end of the year because of this WrestleMania conversation, maybe that's how you do it. Maybe you beat up The Rock so bad you got to stretcher him out of the WWE. I don't know where he fits, but if he's in War Games,
he fits in the War Games match. I don't know who is the fifth on the Bloodline side, because right now we've got Roman, Jimmy, we assume Jay, and we're kind of fantasy booking Sammy in there since he's honorary Uso. But like, who is the fifth guy on that side then? Because I've been against like a Cody or somebody like that. I've just been completely against it. I don't know who the other person is on that side. Paul Heyman.
That would be hilarious. I don't know. Who could it be? Who would make the most sense? I might have an idea.
Guys who make sense. Like like Cody does make sense. I just don't like it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess Cody would fit. You know who should be in the match? The fifth man. This guy right here.
He wants it.
He does want it. He thinks he deserves it.
Yeah, he definitely wants it.
Yeah, Big Quiche wants to get his big War Games moment.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the answer right there.
He was saying Hikuleu. Okay. That's how you're gonna bring him in. It's possible.
Again, if he's still listed as part of the roster on NXT, I keep him there. Should be Tamina. I do agree with that. Tamina
Naomi.
Tamina does nothing. Like she does no wrong in my book. She can do no wrong. She is the best of everyone. You know how people I always tell people don't stan wrestlers because there are many reasons not to. Don't stan wrestlers. Tamina, that's the one you can stan. The only one that I'm perfectly okay with y'all standing. She's perfect.
Should be Naomi. CM Punk.
CM Punk. That's a good one. I know I said I wouldn't come back, but damn it, I had to come back for this one. I had to be in the main event. I had to get in on this bloodline stuff.
Yeah, that's where the real money is.
They told me, how does it feel to be alive in the city of Vancouver in the War Games match? Oh God, I can't believe he did that again on Monday. He thinks he's doing the thing when he does that thing.
I don't think he's doing anything. I think he's just doing it to pop himself.
I think he thinks that it's a thing.
I mean, it kind of is a thing. If you say it enough, it just becomes a thing.
Yeah, but no one's really saying it.
Well, no one's trying to say it. No one says like with Cody, so what do you want to talk about? It's just like his opening line to a promo.
Yeah, but you do, because you got a pop out of it. When he does it, he's like forcing it out of himself. When Punk does it, he doesn't really. He gets the kiss asking how the crowd is feeling type of pop. Yeah, well, how does it feel to be alive? It's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not that Cody pop that everyone talks about. You can stand Natalia, by the way. You can stand Natty. It's true. And all the cats. Anyway, I forget where we were talking about. Who's going to be the fifth person on the side of the War Games match? Our truth.
What about Seth Rollins? Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, Seth has history, but the history is mostly with Roman. I don't know if that's a reconciliation that is, part of the match. You could do that. Feels like if Seth is doing anything, I don't know. Seth and Bronson Reed, is that a match for Crown Jewel, or do you wait until Survivor Series?
Probably. It feels like they're going to do multiple matches.
Yeah, I can get behind that. And I would like to see it, honestly, if they do maybe a best of 3. Have that one culminate in a Hell in a Cell. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I tried. Bronson Reed is the fifth man for them for the bad bloodline. And then you got just like last year where it was like Judgment Day. Oh, and Drew McIntyre. Oh, I don't know what you can do with it. I don't know who you can bring in for that. But we'll see. We don't even know if Rock is going to be part of this War Games match. We don't know where the Rock's going to be tomorrow night, let alone tonight.
Rock's going to be at WrestleDream tomorrow.
That's true. He's going to be in the corner of Darby Allin.
Oh, could you imagine?
Don't want to. Well, listen, maybe that was what he was foreshadowing on Tuesday. Maybe that's why Darby Allin had the Rock. He had the Rock.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. You need something to get these people excited for a match like this. So you bring out the Rock.
Excited for Darby and Brody King.
Yeah, and I've talked about how I enjoy that the build has been it's been okay. Again, this is the one thing that I don't love about the Darby Allin presentation right now is that he is very rah AEW gave me this opportunity and I love going to do media for AEW, and he's not just a babyface. Like he's
punching fans at football games.
I did see that. That was very fun. He should do that more often. More people deserve to be punched in the face at football games, Jeremy. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had something to add to that.
Oh.
No, but I'm going to look forward to the match between Brody and Darby. I also just wonder what's Darby going to be all about next? Because I don't like any babyface being like, thank you, like opportunity, love babyface. You know, the company gave me this, so now I love the company, and that's why you should cheer me because of the company. I'm ready to move on from stories like that.
He's going to go after Jack Perry.
Everyone's going after Jack Perry.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Darby Allin versus Okada for the Continental Championship?
Okada'd get up for that match. He'd be woken up for that one.
Yeah, I think he'd have fun with it. And I'd like to see, you know what? I talked myself into it. Let's do it. Darby Allin versus Kazuchika Okada is a match that I need to see at, I don't know, World's End or Full Gear. I don't care where it is. They just have to do it. And I'll be all for it.
It'd be a fun match, honestly. Okada and Darby Allin. Okada's a bigger dude than like kind of given credit for. Darby, he's a little smaller. Oh, it'd be fun.
Oh, that's the best part. Darby's gonna have to run around Okada. Okada, he's a tall dude. I saw him at the TNA tapings in Vegas back in January, and he was by far the tallest man in the ring. And I think Moose was in that match. He was taller than Moose, I'm pretty sure. But also Darby, he was teaming with Motor City Machine Guns, so you know, just goes to show.
Darby bump well for him and everything.
Yes. Yeah, Darby's got to put on his platform Doc Martens just to get half the size of Kazuchika Okada. Oh, should we run down WrestleDream or should we? I don't even know what else we got here. Should talk about the WrestleDream card.
It's a show that exists. We're gonna be AEW haters. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's hate on everything. I'm gonna bring up the card and we're just gonna shit on everything. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna see if it's worthy of our time. WrestleDream 2024 card. I'm sure that there will be more matches added tonight during Rampage beyond the one that's already made its way out there as happening. Where should we start?
Statlander and Camille is going to get added to the show.
It feels like it's going to get added. I'm fine with it. We talked about this on Wednesday. If you're going to do that match, it should be Stat and Camille, and then Stat gets the win, and we move forward to Full Gear. I like the idea of doing Stat versus Mercedes at Full Gear in like a properly built multi-week build match. I would like to see that. And because Stat in Jersey doing media going into a show like this, I think that also boosts Stat's stock in AEW. I don't know if you agree with that statement.
Nah, I mean, she was going to do media for that stuff anyway, but
now you get Mercedes and not Camille, but Chris Statlander. If you get Mercedes and Chris doing media, that's good. I wish that there were more instances where wrestling promotions do send both talents on a match out to do media so they can kind of, do a little bit of trash talking their opponent and let the opponent do the thing, like carry on the kayfabe a little bit while you're, doing the media rounds. It's fun. It's harmless. It's part of the build to get people in the door. So I would like to see that. Talk about the show. Pre-show is going to be Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage for the ROH Television Championship. Brian Cage, is he going to capture this thing? Is he going to win the TV title?
Maybe. Who could? Sure. I think they should put. Look, Athena deserves a better spotlight than the pre-show of this, but you got 2 other ROH title matches on here. Put Athena on this show.
You got 2. No, there's only 1.
There's 2.
There's 2 titles on the line in total.
Yeah.
Okay, the way you made it sound was there were 2 other, as in addition
2
to
other outside of the ROH women's title, which was what I was hinting at there, that put Athena on the show because you have 2 other besides that.
Okay, the way
it's not on the show.
Yeah. The way you said it was that in addition to the TV title match, there were going to be 2 more ROH title matches. But
I've clarified what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that brings me to match number 2. Mark Briscoe takes on Chris Jericho. Jericho about to become the Nueve? Are we shopping a new deal for ROH? Because if you ask Tony Khan, the media call, his 45-minute answer ended
my God.
Ended in I love AEW.
The funniest part about that, not the ROH thing, the moment he was asked about ROH, I'm like, oh boy, he's gonna give the entire history of ROH, which is what he did. I forgot who it was.
And then announced a match for ROH.
Well, he didn't really announce a match. He announced the
replay of a match.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson and Kenta was going to air. The funniest part, again, I forget who it was, but he was asking, or they asked about the women in AEW. And Tony's answer was just like, oh, we've been doing really great stuff with the women. Like the women's division's really great. That was it. It was like a 2-sentence answer. I was like, oh my God, that's the shortest Tony Khan answer ever. And like, even he seemed stunned that like, that's all he said. Cause then he's like, I'm sorry, was there like a question? I want to make sure I answer your question. I thought it was just like a compliment. And the person was just like, oh no, I just want to talk about the women's division. Like it's been really good stuff. And how have you felt about it? And then he gives like a 15-minute answer because he has to name every single woman on the roster and everything they're doing right now. It's like, oh my God, we had like the perfect Tony Khan answer of, yeah, the women are doing really good stuff. And that was it. And then it became, I went and made dinner during this thing. I left, I put some hot dogs in the air fryer and I'm like, I'm making dinner right now from hot dogs. And I came back, he was still on the same answer. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I listened to the call and I just said to myself, there is nothing of substance in the entirety of this hour. The substance are the questions coming in, not the answers being given. Even the question that Sean asked, by the way, and Sean covered his bases with that question, trying to get a clear-cut answer from Tony. Does WBD have any, and this is just me like putting it right on the table, do they have any stock in Warner in AEW? And mention the Sports Business Journal article, mention the court filings where it's like nothing over 10%. And what does Tony do? He still gives you a non-answer. It's like, I have 100% voting shares. I make 100% of the decisions. That's all you need to know. And it's like, that doesn't answer anything.
Well, that's what he said last time, because this has been a topic for a while, and that was his answer last time. It's never going to give you anything off of.
Well, just what annoys me is that people then go off on people like Brandon Thurston, who like Brandon was one of the first people to he was one of the first people to float the idea out that maybe Warner Brothers had some sort of stake in AEW. And he wasn't wrong in his thought process. Everything he said makes sense because this guy, Brandon's very analytical. He's very numbers minded. He's very good at this. He doesn't float something out like that without some sort of data to back it up. And then people, after Tony gives this answer, immediately attack him, be like, oh, stick to your stupid spreadsheets. It's like, those stupid spreadsheets are the reason why this conversation started. And like, there was proper data and sourcing behind it. It bugs me when non-answers fuel negative discourse. It's people hear what they want to hear.
Well, I don't pay attention to those people. But Tony, he's always going to give you non-answers. The problem, real quickly, yes, Ryan, air fryer hot dogs, very good. You do the hot dog and then you put the bun in there as well. So you get you air fry the bun. It's very good.
Sounds delicious.
Sean asked the question the right way. I'm not saying he didn't. Sean's very good and meticulous the way he asks, especially questions like that, because Sean knows. Sean knows you're not always going to get an answer out of Tony. It doesn't matter what you ask him. Unless you're asking him to praise the card, Tony ain't giving you a great answer on many things. The problem was, here's how you got to ask the question. Tony, how many stocks does Warner Brothers Discovery really have in stock? That's it. When it comes to AEW, how many stocks does Warner Brothers Discovery really have in stock?
Our best friends of Warner Brothers Discovery have a lot of stock in us, and that stock is faith, and they have faith in us. So when we talk about our stock in Warner Brothers Discovery, that stock is a lot of faith. At the end of the day, I have 100% voting capacity in wrestling in AEW, and we love our friends at Warner Brothers Discovery. So we want to continue our friendship and continue our media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, and we love them.
See, that's probably going to be his answer. But then that shows you're trying to get him to say the line. And if he doesn't say it, then it's like, Tony, come on, set you up for an easy one there.
Or you
Could you imagine if somebody's like, Tony, when it comes to AEW, how many stocks does Warner Brothers Discovery really have in stock? And Tony's like, well, what they don't have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 95, 100% voting power. That's a good answer from Tony right there.
Gives you one sentence. It said, "Did you answer my question?" Yes, good enough. Let's go. Let's move on. What were you asking? What was your question about? It wasn't about anything. Keep talking. Keep moving.
These friggin' 20-minute answer Tony has. Oh, then the cat. Somebody's cat was meowing and very angry.
He was, and the best part, you could tell Tony was very miffed at this, because it's like, can someone mute this? We're having a very serious conversation, and I forget.
Yeah, because he was about to talk about hurricane
relief. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was like, it was bad timing, but I felt a little bad for Tony, but I was like, who's unmuted, because they auto mute everyone in that call unless you're asking a question. So either someone slipped past or someone forgot to put their finger on the button.
Yeah. It was, what can you do on that? It was this was a deep reference I made on Twitter, but I think it was like an Elite XC media call way back in the day. Fedor Emelianenko, longtime MMA fans will know him, and his manager, Vadim. There was this media call that they did. And there's dogs barking in the background, and the moderator, Vadim's line kept cutting out. So the moderator's like, Vadim. It was so reminiscent of that. I tweeted that. I was like, AEW just had their Vadim media call, and the people who got it, and then other people who weren't around 20 years ago. That's how long I've been covering this dumb shit. But the people who weren't around were like, oh yeah, we get it. We know what you mean with the Vadim media call.
Just the whole thing was just something else. If you haven't listened to it yet, put on your critical listening ears and just listen to this.
Don't listen to this media call. Do something better with your life. This is an hour of nothing.
Listen to it at 2.25 speed and you'll get through it in about 50,
I think it was for Affliction, Marky. It might have been Affliction. I couldn't remember if it was Affliction or Elite XC. It was one of the two. I guess it might have been Strike Force. Fedor fought in all those companies. I think he fought for Elite XC, but he also fought for Strike Force. But it was one of those companies Fedor fought for. Affliction might make more sense. It was a long time ago. That's all I remember.
Does Chris Jericho capture the ROH World Heavyweight Championship?
He shouldn't, right?
Well, I don't know what shouldn't and Chris Jericho. I feel like shouldn't is a 4-letter word to Chris.
Yeah, he shouldn't, because when you do this stuff, when you do the stuff of invoking the brother,
yeah,
and then you go ahead, you beat that guy, and you basically prove right that, yeah, you know what, Your brother was better than you. And if he was still alive, he would have beaten me. You suck. I don't like it. It's bad optics. And even if like Mark Briscoe gets his shot later on and does beat him, it's still not the best optics. So I'd probably just have Mark Briscoe win.
Jericho taking quite a few L's lately then.
So
I'm not again, that's not me saying that's a bad thing. But you got, Orange Cassidy beat Chris Jericho, and obviously Hook at All In recaptures the FTW title. They do some 6-man tags. Like there was the Learning Tree Tornado at Grand Slam Collision. They won that, did the Learning Tree.
Yeah, Jericho pinned Mark. That's what's
that's how we set this up.
See, I think that if you didn't do the J stuff here, okay, I'm not saying you should do it at all. We've talked about it. Like, was it necessary? Don't know. I think the way Mark sold it was very good. I think Mark turning into a serious like kind of wrestler has been good off of this. Could you have gotten there a different way? Yes, 100%. I think if they had just played, Jericho beat him in the tornado, and now you're going to do the match, then I think you could have had Jericho win here. And then if you wanted to do it, again, not saying you needed to, not saying it was necessary, if you wanted to do the J stuff leading into a rematch and then Mark wins the rematch, okay. Like that makes some sense to me. Don't mention him at all leading into this match. Jericho wins. Jericho, then says the stuff leading into a rematch. Mark gets fired up, gets serious out of that. Mark wins the rematch. Makes sense. But doing it now and then Jericho winning, I don't like it. I don't think the optics on that are good. That's why I think Mark should win.
No, I fully agree with you. It does feel like Mark Briscoe retains. Jericho takes an L. Jericho can take L's. He's obviously unaffected largely by these things. And Briscoe, I don't know. I just don't know who Briscoe faces if there's a final battle, who he has a match with.
They'll throw like Kyle O'Reilly on there or something.
Kind of. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. We'll see. But, Ring of Honor is very
important. Danielson works his, one of his non-full-time matches at this.
Could you imagine? He loses and then 2 months later shows up for ROH?
Sure.
That'd make me laugh. Darby Allin, Brody King, we kind of had an opening conversation about
real
this.
quickly. It won't be real quickly, but before we
never is with us
further into this, people in the chat, I don't want to ignore all of us. They're talking about like who should book AEW if it's not Tony Khan and all of this stuff. Like the issue isn't Tony's overall booking. It's that there are too many people trying to contribute too many ideas. And Tony, it seems like he turns down some stuff, but he doesn't turn down a lot. There isn't just that central focus like it feels like there was in the past. You got too many different things going on. When AEW did have a central focus, like they, early days of the company, that's when everybody was praising it. But this is now you got some WWE segments like a no knock. Like I think MXM Collection is great, but that was a total just WWE segment with them and the Acclaimed. And then the same show you're doing lumberjack strap matches and everything. Like it's okay to have the variety. It's nothing about like any of the variety. It's just when you don't have when it doesn't look as focused as it once did, people start to, take issue with that. And when there is some like WWE kind of light stuff going on, you look at TNA for when they did, hey, we have the X division. This is what we do differently than WWE. It's like, okay, this is what makes TNA stand out. AEW still has that with their wrestling stands out above what they do in WWE. But if you do the WWE light stuff, then people are just going to compare you to WWE because you're never going to do it as good as they do. You just don't. Even if like it's a little bit funnier or whatever, it just comes off as a lesser version. Then going back to should Tony, stop booking? Only Tony needs to stop booking. Tony just needs to hone in a little bit and just try to focus the shows a little bit. I got a hot take for you, Joel. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'll set it up as a hot take so that way people are like, ooh. I think Collision was the worst thing to happen to AEW.
That's not a hot take at all.
Yeah.
That completely, it took away from a lot of focus.
I think it not only took away from the focus of the shows, and it gave you the extra hour or the extra 2 hours. So then it just felt like, oh, we can put people on here. Here's my bigger kind of thing with it. It took away the house shows. And I think the house shows could have been beneficial to AEW in different ways. Of one, you go to the smaller markets and you can put some wrestlers on there who do want to work kind of the weekends. Because right now, you go to Collision, we talk about this all the time. You're advertising like Jon Moxley and Tony Storm, and like none of these people ever show up. And the house shows could have been beneficial to people who just don't work a whole lot. When's the last time Nick Wayne like wrestled consistently? He wrestles like one match a month. Hook is a guy who should be wrestling consistently and getting better. These guys get these reps in there. It would be, I think it'd just be more beneficial to run kind of just house shows in smaller markets and give the fans something nice that they'll enjoy, and then have a more focused Dynamite on top of that, instead of, oh, we can just put random stuff on Collision and it'll be fun.
So there's two sides to this whole conversation. One is everything you just said, and the other one is the money that comes with having a secondary television show that you can shop and that you can get money for, right? That's the real frustration, is that in hopes of making all of your money in a business that is now based on how much TV money you get, not what your house shows bring in, it almost forced their hands in that way. But I largely agree with you that there are a lot of wrestlers on the roster that could benefit from an opportunity to work in a house show setting, in a live event setting, in a non-televised environment where they're learning and building and also keeping fresh. That's another thing that really helps any wrestler, is that you get to work matches in a different way, in a different style, in a different spot, and you get the reps. This is something that I talked about with the TNA partnership, with not even partnership, but the talent exchange with NXT. There are a bunch of women coming over from NXT to TNA who are not necessarily getting full-time reps in NXT, but they're working TNA because their television is very close to what NXT presents, at least in terms of format and television, and like just televised format. So they get that opportunity because they aren't necessarily doing it on Level Up, and they're not doing it on the main CW show as it stands now. They have that option with Ring of Honor to have more wrestlers come and get those reps, but instead Ring of Honor has been turned into Ring of Honor is. So yeah, you do wish that some of this talent would work more. When Nick Wayne was signed, he kind of like, he didn't dry up the indies. In other words, like his dates, he still performed at his dates and kept a few, but he's since scaled back quite a lot. Yeah, and that was something that a lot of wrestlers kind of took on AEW as kind of a medium, that the schedule is more open. You're only working television, so you could work the indies. I don't know why they decided maybe not to take an independent wrestling match. That's up to the wrestler, and I'm never going to tell them how to, spend their time. Maybe they don't want to get injured. Maybe they've seen what happens to some of their peers when they do that. Maybe it's a trust thing. Maybe it's an AEW thing where they said you can only work these indies. I don't know, and I'm not going to speak for them. But you would hope that some of the younger talent who get signed continue to work on getting those reps in, not just going to the Nightmare Factory and working, in the ring with the people there, but work matches in front of people where they get to understand the response. They get to understand what working the crowd is supposed to be. And they haven't really had that. The house shows started that opportunity, and they weren't a failure. That's the other thing too. The house shows, they only did a few of them, but like they did what they wanted them to do, and they could have done more with it. I wish they had. And then it also forced Jeff Jarrett to get a job on television.
Nick Wayne hasn't had an indie match since May. At the Crash was his last one. And then if you're talking about America, it was still May. It was May 10th against Janela and Defy. Since his last indie match, we'll say the Crash was his last indie match. That was May 17th. Since then, we're looking at about 5 months now. He's had 7 matches in 5 months. This is a dude who wrestled like 7 matches in just January and February. He's had 7 matches in 5 months.
And he's been pegged as like the guy next up, that dude. It's strange to me when that happens. But hey, Chi-Town Spurs sent a super chat saying, interesting thought, Jeremy. I personally think things turned when Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor and tried to shoehorn that stuff on AEW TV. I don't know if that's really the time that, personally, I don't know if that's the time that things turned. I think there was a lot of like hope that Ring of Honor had something behind it. I know that at one point Cassidy from Body Slam had reported, the plan was to make ROH more of a developmental territory. And maybe that was the plan. And then Collision stuff kind of changed everything. I don't know how much the CM Punk saga, drama, whatever it is, changed the trajectory of televised plans with Ring of Honor.
When it comes to ROH, we've talked a lot over the years of keeping it separate, just separating the two things. And obviously they're not doing that. Literally have 2 title matches from ROH on this show this weekend. I do think like there was a turning point there, because it did feel like, especially after Jericho won the title, of we're trying to get a TV deal for ROH, and that's why we put Jericho as the champion. And then it didn't turn. They didn't end up getting that. And so then it felt like they put less care into it. I think there's some credence to that, of they tried to big up ROH to try to make it part of the media deal, and it didn't happen. And so then it just became a back burner type thing, but they still wanted it to put a little more stock into it. And, it just hasn't fully worked.
So does Mark Briscoe retain the Ring of Honor World Championship?
Yeah, I think Mark should win. I just don't know if he will, but he should.
Yeah, going all the way back to where this conversation started, where we picked it up with the booking and who should book and all that. I don't think Tony is an adequate booker. It might be a question of too many cooks and maybe someone not being willing to put their foot down for certain things. Maybe taking too much stock in one opinion over another. Jericho is a good example of this, because it is well known and it has been established that Tony will take Chris Jericho's opinion very highly, and therefore give a little bit more freedom to how Jericho sees his character, his story building, whatever it is, for better or worse. For some moments it's been great, and some moments it has not been great. But the point is, there's at least some sort of data out there, if you want to say, that Tony listens to talent, but he puts a little bit more faith in some established talent than he would in others, which is kind of understandable.
I think he just needs to have a focused vision on some of the stuff. And I think that'll fix certain things. It's like, okay, this doesn't make sense with what we want to do, so we're not going to do it.
Again, I'm looking forward to post Saturday being done with the run of the summer, where you had so many shows and so many specials. And I keep harping on this because I need people to understand that this anomaly is about to finish. This every week is a special, or there's a pay-per-view in the middle. That's about to finish. That run is over. And also, it's not coming back next year because things got moved around to ensure that that's not on the docket for next year. I'm hoping, and I'm hopeful that once we get past WrestleDream and going through the end of the year, things are going to start hopefully playing out a little longer, a little better, and make things more I don't know, just better for AEW and storytelling and the way that they put their matches together.
Well, I mean, we're gonna get Continental Classic, and so
that's always helpful.
Yeah, we're at least gonna get some matches, some really good matches there, and that'll streamline some stuff, because you're gonna get 3 to 4 important matches on the show, and that's gonna take up a fair amount of time, and you're just not gonna have time for a lot of other stuff.
I agree. So let's move along. Brody King, Darby Allin, the battle of who loves AEW. No, I'm just kidding. Is this Darby Allin's win to get him back on track? It's very interesting to think about where Darby was 3 weeks ago. He was primed for the main event, really, for a title shot for this show. And then things kind of didn't happen. Darby's now just in a match against Brody King. Feels like this will get him back on track. Maybe this is Darby eventually coming back around to challenge for the AEW World Championship. But where do you see it with Brody King? What do we do with Brody King out of all of this?
He loses and then goes back to House of Black stuff, would be my guess.
Damn. Maybe it should be Darby and the Brick versus Brody and Buddy Matthews. Sorry, it's Darby and the Rock. My bad. Will the Brick get into play, or the Rock? Will the Rock come out for this match with Darby?
I don't think so.
I feel like the Rock's going to play it. Again, sorry, let's get rid of the funny, the Rock. Darby's Rock, will it come into play in this match? I think it will, but I feel like maybe it'll get used in a spot where Brody kind of uses it against Darby. And then
Brody's just going to take it, and then that's it. It's like, that's all. That's all.
He might do like a power bomb onto the Rock. That would be painful. But Brody would do that.
Yeah.
Like slam him onto the Rock. That would hurt his back. And then, they get rid of the Rock, whatever it is. Darby introduces it. They do one spot with the Rock, and then they get rid of the Rock, and that's it. If you smell what the Darby's cooking.
I think Darby just wins. And then they talked about before, though, you're just using Brody in this spot because it's somebody Darby can beat. And then what are you going to do with Brody afterwards? Is he just going to go back to House of Black stuff? It feels like you should have a better spot than that. If he's just going to go back to House of Black stuff after this match, then okay. It doesn't make this like the end result of this match just in hindsight won't feel as important. I want more for Brody King.
Yeah, me too. I want people to bark because he's doing well, not because he's Brody King. I got a Rock. Sorry, I get what you're putting down. I get it. Does this match open the show, or is it going to be the triple threat for the AEW International Championship?
It might open the show.
You get the hometown pop from Darby, or the home state pop. The only other match I could see them opening with is maybe the Bucks and Private Party.
No.
Or Jericho and Briscoe. Just because it's Jericho and get him out early. No, you think he's deeper in the card?
Yeah, you want to open with something hot. Bucks and Private Party, maybe. It's got to be the 3-way or this match.
Yeah, it's got to be hot.
Yeah, Bucks and Private Party will be a good match, but Private Party's been where they've been for the past 4 years, and if the Young Bucks didn't even show up to Dynamite this past week, this match feels about as cold as a tag team match can feel. I know people are excited about the match quality. I don't think there's anything wrong. The match will be fine. That's rarely an issue when it comes to AEW pay-per-views. The matches will be good, but there doesn't feel like there's too much heat on this Private Party Young Bucks match. The Private Party's the challenges of the month. They've done what they've could to heat them up in 2 weeks, but the Bucks aren't exactly lighting the world on fire. And I don't think that's going to open. It's going to be Darby and Brody, because they've done good promo stuff. Like the spot on Collision last week was really good. The promo on Dynamite was really good. 2 hometown guys. We know it's going to be a good match. Or the international title, because that's, I think Will Ospreay arguably gets the biggest reactions on the show.
Yeah, you put him out first. Champion comes out first. There's a big cheer from the crowd. I think that might be. It'll be one of those 2 matches. Will definitely open the show. The Darby or the international championship match. More I think about it, I don't think the tag match opens up, because I don't think Private Party has a theme that gets people going just yet. It's a new theme, and it doesn't work.
That would be an awful way to open the show.
Yeah, that's fair. The only I thought about this. I know that some fans wouldn't like this, but opening up with Willow and Mariah.
Yeah.
Again, Willow's theme gets people going. If it's a good match. you kind of expect, if you have a return or some sort of moment like with Mariah and maybe with Mina Shirakawa, I don't know, but that's something you can open the show with. But then you also don't have, as of right now, another women's match to showcase.
And I wouldn't open with Mariah and Willow. It's not that the bloom is off the Mariah May rose, but it's not where she was heading into All In and everything. And it was going to be tough to follow that up with Toni Storm. And Willow is great, but look, she also lost her last big match. So I know she won the 4-way because Jamie Hayter decided that beating up Penelope Ford was more important than a title shot. But the match will be good. It just doesn't feel like it's an opening match.
Jamie Hayter should team up with FTR. It should be FTR and Jamie Hayter versus Penelope Ford and Grizzled Young Vets in the I don't care about my title shot match.
That sounds terrible.
It sounds like something that they've done now on both sides of the equation. Matthew Hook sent a super chat asking C2 being on Collision so Dynamite can story tell. I would rather just both do the gold side, the blue side, just like last time. I'd rather have both shows have these matches. And again, you don't need to cram one show with one theme. You can have both things happen on both shows. Tell stories on Collision. Start putting that focus. Let it happen. I would like that.
Well, that's what they did last year, and like those were some of the better Collision shows, is because you knew you were getting stars on the show, and you knew you were getting some overall good matches. I look at now, I'm trying to think of like what's the Collision lineup. It's like a hologram He's gonna wrestle himself. That'd be sweet, actually.
That would be.
He's a hologram.
It's all of those things that we reported about the big hologram presentation. It's going to be hologram wrestling himself. That's part of the big presentation for hologram.
It's gonna be like hologram, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy,
Brody
Roderick
King,
Strong,
Brody King.
Yeah, he's pretty Collision-y. Yeah,
they'll put Jay White on the Collision.
Nah, Jay White doesn't work Collision anymore, brother.
What about you put other boy out on the other side? Juice?
Juice, yeah, maybe Juice is on that. Yeah.
A returning Eddie Kingston.
Nah, Eddie's not gonna be back in time.
I know, like man can dream. Brian Keith actually in the C2 would be a nice addition. Maybe he gets a run on Collision, like on the Collision C2. I wouldn't hate that. Just looking up and down the roster. Let's move along. We got past Allen and King. TNT title matches, Katsuyori Shibata versus Jack Perry. I feel like they kind of told you that Jack Perry is going to retain this title regardless. Will this be a brains on the table good match, or will this be a Jack Perry retains very quickly?
Jack Perry wins. Daniel Garcia comes out and attacks him because Jack Perry's going to like try to beat up Shibata more, and then here comes Garcia to make the save. And then
Jack
MJF
Perry
returns and he goes after Daniel Garcia. And then the devil comes out and he goes after MJF. And then the devil reveals himself to be Adam Sandler. That was the real devil. We had the wrong Adam the entire time. It was Adam Sandler.
Oh, I was the devil all along. Yes, I was.
Little Nicky, baby. He's getting revenge. Little Nicky.
I'm here to invite you all to my new movie. It sounded awful until you had the big reveal. Now this is the main event.
See? I know what I'm doing.
Forget the Costco guys. We just need Adam Sandler. Oh, are the Costco guys here? I want to have him. Why is he turning into Jay Leno?
Could you imagine?
Little
Nicky coming out there.
That sounds awful. Well, one story trope that I thought about with the Garcia matches, you got to use the bus. You got to use the stupid bus. Like I thought about maybe Jack Perry. You don't have Garcia show up. Instead, he leaves. He grabs the title. He leaves the ring. Shibata's already been beaten. It's over. And he goes to get in the bus, and Garcia's in the bus, beats him up, and that's how they started. But that feels like that's a heel tactic. So it's probably going to be Shibata is getting beat down by Perry, and then out comes Daniel Garcia, and we're back at it.
Yeah. And then MJF, and then Little Nicky.
And then Adam Sandler says, "No, they're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at him." And MJF is like, "I thought we left him back on the Hollywood lot." No, sorry. His old stuff, man. Some of the best shit ever. Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Konosuke Takeshita for the International Championship. This has been a weird match to track at this point because there's been some stuff that's happened. Does Ricochet take advantage of the Takeshita and Ospreay story and walk out with the title? Does Ospreay win and say, "LOL, you guys suck"? Or does Takeshita get a big moment winning the International Championship?
I think Ospreay wins.
Kind of escapes it.
I think Ospreay wins. He pins Ricochet, and then you do Ospreay and Takeshita singles match a little bit later down the line.
Do it a Full Gear?
Yeah, maybe.
I would like Will Ospreay to keep the title just because, and maybe again, because Ospreay's dropped the title and recaptured it. That's been a story that they've already done. So for Takeshita to win it and then Ospreay has to go win it back, like again, Ospreay's a babyface and a great. You really want to cheer for him. So his chase is really strong, but also Will as a champion has been very strong as well. So I kind of feel like you can continue doing Will Ospreay the champion. But I'm wondering, what the hell do you like? What's going on with Ricochet at that point? Does he settle into?
He's in the C2. Everybody's just in the C2.
He just joins the C2. It's gonna be Ricochet and Hologram having banger ass matches, but like, what are we doing? That's why I'm like, part of me is like, let Ricochet win and have him join the Don Callis family. And then Takeshita's upset at him. That's the only thing is, what happens to Ricochet if he turns heel, joins the Callis family, and the guy that he's also in the match with is also part of the Callis family? Ricochet wins and joins LFI. That's the answer.
Okay, Ricochet wins.
Oh, Christ. He's the devil.
Joins the Don. No, it's Adam Sandler. I'm steadfast in that.
Okay, good.
Ricochet wins. Joins the Don Callis family. And Don Callis is like, "Why you bald?" And Ricochet's like, "Why you bald?" And then Scorpio Sky pops up is like, "You guys need help for not being bald?" And then we get the Scorpio system with the Don Callis family.
More bald in AEW.
That's where I'm at.
What does Dax factor into all this?
At some point he shows up.
Sorry, guys, I was saving people out in my home state, but y'all still doing the bald thing? Thought about growing it back out. Scorpio Kai's just like, not for you, buddy. Not for you.
When are they gonna put the Outrunners in a good spot here? Get these guys with some big dubs.
I keep saying that if they do a turn with FTR on the Outrunners, they're teaming up now. They're besties now. I want FTR to just be like, forget these guys. You're a bunch of meme assholes. You think you're better than us? No, we're the OG tag team. We are the ones who run this division. This is FTR. And they have a feud with the Outrunners, and then let the Outrunners beat the FTR. Hell yeah. And move on. They've already beat Grizzled Young Veterans, have the Outrunners. Everyone beats Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah. Who cares?
So let them move up. Let them beat FTR next.
The Outrunners should win the tag team titles.
The Outrunners should have won the tag team titles at Grand Slam. Should have won the
fair.
Casino Gauntlet. Will Ospreay should have just called the audible and said, "Bruv, pin me, bruv, pin me. You deserve it." And then he got the title match. It should have been that. Should have been that. They should have won the tag titles at Grand Slam.
Yeah.
But here we are. Nowhere near that. The Young Bucks put their tag team titles on the line against Private Party. Allegedly, they will be on the show.
Allegedly.
Will they retain, or will Private Party finally realize their goal from the first match that they had against the Young Bucks and beat them?
Do you think Stokely helps Private Party to show like his value for this? Or does he cost Private Party to show like, I could have helped you, but you were dicks to me?
This is kind of the thing, is Stokely will be involved at one point, one way or the other. My feeling was if Private Party wins the tag titles, Stokely comes out with his own tag team, and I feel like that tag team might just be Gates of Agony. And he's got two big dudes that don't know. Well, they do talk sometimes, but Stokely would be their mouthpiece, and they're two big dudes that beat up people. It's just pretty standard pro wrestling trope. However, the story that you just mentioned about having Stokely help Private Party, it works, but the problem is, are Private Party baby faces or heels at this point?
They're
what are they
baby
supposed
faces.
to be? Are they? Because right now they're talking about how they're sick of being overlooked. They're here to make their mark. They changed the music to something that to me feels a little more heelish than good guy. Again, I'm just
what tunnel did they come out of?
Presentations, man. That's a good question. I'm reading into like how they've been presented. They've been trying to be a little more, not dark, but like they're not doing they're being more serious, which can work. But to me, it's been reading more like they're turning into heels than anything else. And the Young Bucks are very clearly heels as well. Potato saying the new theme is ass. It's going to take some time for me to even listen to it. I do like the Shots theme. I liked it a lot. But if this is like their new presentation, I don't know. There's part of me that thinks they can win and just keep building. But are they good or bad? Like, are you looking at the footage?
Footage of what?
Oh, I thought you were looking up whether or not they come out of the baby face.
I don't care that much.
I don't know. Some people really put a lot of stock into that shit. Regardless, Stokely will be involved, whether it's at WrestleDream or on Dynamite, to bring in Private Party's first contenders.
I don't want it to be Gates of Agony. No knock on them.
Who else could it be? That's a bigger question. Who else would it be?
Put a tag team that you haven't just completely buried over the past 3 years.
The Outrunners with Stokely.
That would actually be fantastic. They do some good shit. Like, it's no knock on Gates of Agony. Like, they're a good tag team, but like you've told me for basically 3 years now, this team is pretty unimportant. And this is what they do too often is this is what they've told me on Private Party. Hey, this team's not really all that important until we need them to be important to lose a title match. And then that's it. That's what it would feel like with Gates of Agony. Like, put a team that you haven't completely undercut over the past 3 years. Honestly, like, I'm okay if it's like grizzled young veterans, so that way they don't have to grit their teeth so much. And I think they could do some halfway fun stuff because, like, they tried to make grizzled young veterans important with the FTR attack and everything. It didn't fully hit, and then they lost, but they haven't spent 3 years telling me, yeah, this team just isn't important. They've at least been on television. They've at least been involved with FTR and the Outrunners, who have gotten, FTR has always been prominently featured. The Outrunners have gotten more and more TV time. So it's not like you've completely buried grizzled young veterans. With Gates of Agony, it's like you guys have had these on these roster for 3 years. And outside of when you needed them to kind of just be heaters for Swerve Strickland, they've been treated how they've been treated.
Stoke your teeth. It's Stokely gritting his teeth for the gram. It's happening.
So Ashok asked an interesting question: how do wrestlers get unburied?
They win matches and they present better as characters. It's a writing and presentation question,
right? But I don't think you can do that like overnight type of thing.
Oh God, no.
And that's where, like, that's where pairing like Gates of Agony with Stokely feels like you're just trying to do months of work overnight. Like, put Gates of Agony, just have them start by winning just matches on Rampage. Start there and then build up from there. Because if you just put them with Stokely Hathaway and you try to be like, see, these guys are threats now, it doesn't come off as believable. And that's, again, sort of what they've been doing with Private Party is they haven't been featured much at all. Every time they are, they lose. They were with Commander for a week.
For a beatdown.
They're with Commander for like a week, and then they didn't even do their little tag team gauntlet match because they're like, instead we're going to team with Commander. Like, all right, sure. And then they just earn their title shot. And it's like, see, take these guys as important. I'm like, I really don't, because you haven't given me a reason to. If Private Party was on Rampage winning some matches, if they were in the Casino Gauntlet, it had a good showing. If they won a couple matches on Collision, if they won a match on on Dynamite, I'd be like, all right, you know what? Like, I actually can buy these guys a little bit more. Right now, I don't. And if they win the titles, I'm still not going to buy it too much. And then it would still just feel like, then I would feel worse. So like, why'd you spend months, years doing nothing with these guys and then heat them up for a couple weeks and then put the titles on them? It doesn't feel very rewarding for something like that.
Pile driver finisher kind of adds an interesting point. First, they need to really be buried booking wise and not the internet. Oh no, they're buried. And this is a good point for any fandom anywhere. If you are like hardcore online only fandom, those circles get weird when it comes to the idea of what's buried and what's working and what's not, right? There was discourse around the Braun Breaker losing the Intercontinental Championship. Oh, he's buried. Well, no, he's clearly not. People are still very much invested in Braun Breaker. There was the Sami Zayn fighting spirit spot from Monday night. People were like, oh, this shit is, it's not good. Wrestling kayfabe is dead. And everyone's like, well, no, this is a spot that works. And Sami Zayn is perennially over because he's always finding ways to make you believe in him as the underdog. So it is, internet burial is only as much as you believe in it. And my suggestion is stop believing in it.
So I'm probably using the word burial as a catch-all, and I apologize for that because it's not necessarily that simple. Like when I talk about Private Party, it's not that they've been buried for months and years. It is that they've felt unimportant. They've been in the background. Look what they've done. And I'll run it down for everybody of what they've actually done prior to this kind of run. We can start let's go to June. We'll go to June episode of, because they were off television in March. They lost in the qualifier, the tag team qualifier to the Young Bucks. That was March. Okay. So let's look at June. Lost to Gates of Agony. I just talked about how Gates of Agony hadn't felt important. They lost to Gates of Agony on Rampage in June. Beat Commander and Metal League. Okay. Lost to Learning Tree. Lost in a 4-way match at Forbidden Door. Lost to Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. We're in July now. Lost to the Lucha Bros. Lost to Fletcher and Roosh. This was like a 4-way match. Lost to MXN Collection. Beat the Dawson brothers. All right, it's a win, but
Ash Dawson?
Dave and Zane Dawson.
Oh, so neither of the FTR.
Yeah. Lost in that 1,800-man tag at All In. Lost to Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. Teamed with Commander now we're into September. Teamed with Commander to beat John Cruz, Lord Crew, and Ren Jones.
The Wrecking Crews.
Lost to Claudio, Wheeler, and Pac in a 6-man tag with Commander. Teamed with Shibata to beat the Elite, beat the Iron Savages, and then won the contender match. Look at all the matches they lost from June to September. And then all of a sudden they beat the Elite. I don't feel like they're a real threat because they didn't spend any time actually building them into anything. It's like, oh, we just gave them a win over the Elite. Now they're earning a title shot.
Well, he also had, Isaiah Cassidy get beat up with a hammer.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Yeah, that made him serious, though. No, I'm listening. I don't have any serious pushback because what you're saying is exactly it. If you're going to do something long-term to build up a team that has not been, that's been cold, then this wasn't really the way to do it. This was just 2 weeks of 3 weeks of we're going to beat your ass. You got to do more than this. And again, this is why I'm so ready to move past the WrestleDream state and move forward to Full Gear, because clearly the every week is a special did not help anybody at any time. And that's why I'm just like, let's move past it. You know what I mean? But you have a good point. Again, it's you need, if you have plans for these tag teams, you have to start putting that earlier. Yeah, like Big Man Dogs is saying, you shouldn't care about these guys. That's what it means.
Yeah.
And that's what they did for a long time. It was they come out and you'd be like, okay, they're here to lose against whoever they're coming out to, whoever they're facing.
Unless they're facing an unsigned team, then they'll win.
Right, exactly. That's kind of how it goes. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm wondering. I'm just wondering if they're going to do the private party wins, and they had that. Oh my God, they've come to prominence. This is their moment. You should take them seriously now. And the Bucks, do the, oh my God, I can't believe we lost to these jobbers. And then they do something meta that comes out of that. I'd rather not do this. Yeah, and I agree. Brother Zay's been doing great promo work. He's coming out and they presented them differently. That's why I asked at the top, are Private Party a good guy team or a bad guy team? Are they faces or are they heels? Because I couldn't tell you based on the entirety of their presentation. The theme sounds like a bad guy theme. They're dressing in all black and they're not doing the shots. They're not having fun anymore, which was how they were.
Yeah, they're
serious.
Trying to be serious,
and you can do serious as a babyface tag team, CFTR, but like this just they just kind of flipped the switch and it happened. And yeah, they went up against Moxley and they got some, they got something out of the hammer spot. They got some sympathy out of that. That should make them a babyface team, but then they're not facing Jon Moxley's team. They're going up against the Bucks, and the Bucks haven't really done anything other than we're not going to wrestle, and then they wrestled afterwards on a 6-man tag. So like it's some weird lack of storytelling in this case.
Can confirm they came out of the left side tunnel on their last show. Isn't that the heel tunnel? Isn't left heel?
Was that the Philly show though?
It was October 2nd. I don't know where they were. No, it was like one of their most recent shows.
That was the Pittsburgh show. So this is why you can't use that show. Stage flips. The stage is on the other side of the venue for that particular show. And that's the first thing I noticed on 5th anniversary. So you got to pick a different match. I don't actually know which side they're supposed to come out. Rampage from August 7th.
I'm at September 4th, Dynamite. They're coming out. I can't tell because they're doing a close-up shot.
I thought it was a dark match.
I don't know.
September 4th?
No, this is Commander. They came out of the right side tunnel for this one.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference is.
This is when they had their shots theme, though.
That's the best theme.
Yeah, I like that theme. It's good.
I know.
It just goes shots, 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 shots.
John Spurs into Super Chat saying, you're telling me you can't tell the guys who got beat to high hell by Mox who called them out for not being serious aren't faces because after that they became more serious? Well, no.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But then they presented them with like this super serious heel sounding theme. And they just...
No, they're baby faces.
Okay.
They're just more serious baby faces now. They're not as fun-loving, which good. You shouldn't be.
They're also very
getting your ass beat like that.
They're also just very angry.
You ever heard of Bryan Danielson's an angry baby face? You get angry when people break your hand, Joel.
But how angry have you been lately? Being intentionally obtuse. At this point, I am. I was actually being serious at the first part because the presentation has been, again, serious, but serious like on a flick of a switch. That was the part that was like, wait, how are we supposed to feel about
Wasn't a flip of a switch. It friggin' got his hand broken.
That's the flip of a switch. Just so happens that the flip was the hand and the switch was his arm breaking because of the hammer.
At least they're trying something there. But again, they spent months telling you this team doesn't really matter. And then they try to heat them up for a month. And then what's going to happen after this? Are they just going to go back to doing nothing? Guess we'll see.
That's why I'm kind of on the side of they do the shock win. The Bucks say, oh my God. And then Stokely is involved somehow. If they lose, like Stokely gets to play the manipulation game with them? Like, told you guys were pieces of shit. Like, okay.
Yeah, I told you guys suck.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Private Party's like, don't tell us we suck because we don't suck. It's a very, again, I'm like, well, where does this all play in? You ready to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Mariah May takes on Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's World Championship. Mariah May's the champion. Feels like she's walking out the champion, but this will be a fun match.
Yeah.
Will we see Mina Shirakawa after this match?
I hope so.
The one thing that we keep seeing with all of these matches is that there are external factors.
What kind of factors are external?
Private Party and the Bucks have the potential of Stokely. Ospreay, Ricochet, Takeshita has the possibility of other members of the Don Callis family. Perry and Shibata has Daniel Garcia as a possibility. We don't know.
That's not until after the match.
I know, but I'm saying, like, you're still having people come in and do saves and do stuff instead of just like ending a match and moving on and maybe letting television on Wednesday continue it. Allen and King, probably not. I think that'll just be the Rock. We'll all smell what he's cooking. Mariah May, Willow Nightingale, we're talking about Mina Shirakawa, and then some of the other matches too. It's very. I'm hoping that we're not going to see too much interference or just like post-match shenanigans. I'm hoping that they kind of bring that back for this show, and instead of making this like the match ends and then so and so shows up, I'd rather they be a little more conservative with that.
See, I'm not as down on stuff like that because I understand that it helps advance different storylines and everything. One, you got to do it in a good way. Two, I do think, and this is going to be an issue of just too much, because WWE, we just talked about the last show that they had. Every match outside of Hell in a Cell had some type of interference or shenanigans during the match or post-match type of thing. But there's a difference when WWE has 5 matches on the card and 4 of them have interference. Yeah, it's too much, but at the end of the day, it's only 4. And then AEW, if they're going to do it, they got 13 matches on the show, and then 8 of them have it. It feels like too much.
I mean, it's too much on either side.
It is. But this is the problem when you have, again, if you have 13 matches, you have more opportunities to do it. And so when you do it in 8, it feels like it's more than where WWE, well, 9 out of the 10 matches would have had interference. The problem is they only did 5 matches and 4 of it. I guess it would be 8 out of 10. And that issue, and that math. But it feels like more when it's AEW because they just have more overall. And that's why I do think AEW gets knocked almost unfairly of like, oh, there's too much interference. There's too much of this. It's like, well, both sides are kind of doing too much. It's just one show just has less to do it in compared to the other show where, yeah, you got 13 matches, you do 9 angles in the match or after the match. It's just overall going to feel like more.
That's kind of why I prefer some things just carry out to TV. You have a winner. The winner comes out on Wednesday or Saturday, whenever you tape it. And that's how you set up the next thing. And again, this is the idea being you have 6 weeks until your next pay-per-view, 6 weeks to build it. You don't need to start it like 6 weeks immediately. You can let the win from one person breathe for a few days, maybe do some social media stuff, whatever. But regardless, things kind of take up Wednesday. Come out, celebrate, have a match, whatever it is. Start setting it up after the pay-per-view. Let the pay-per-view end something before you restart. And again, I'm not saying don't do this for every match. I'm saying some matches, but not like 8 out of 10. And it's like, if you do it on 3, that's enough for me on a 13 match card. I think
we'll
that's
see if Mina comes into play. I do think we'll get something with Mina after the match, not during.
Yeah. And again, this is why I'm saying it's not about interference. It's not about DQ finish. It's more about just the people in the match being the focus. I don't love when people from the outside become the focus of a match. And we have a lot of that in this card that I'm looking at. So I'd like the conservative mind of bookers to say, we don't need Stokely right now. So we're not going to have Stokely involved with the Private Party of Young Bucks stuff. We don't need Daniel Garcia right now because he hasn't openly called out Jack Perry, but we can kind of assume that that's going to start maybe on Wednesday instead. So Daniel Garcia is not going to be there. Or maybe he's watching the match intently, whatever.
Daniel Garcia is going to be there and he's going to.
I know, but I'm just kind of picking at matches and saying like this and that and here and there. Mina with Mariah, maybe Mariah has a celebration and on Wednesday, Mina comes out and whatever. There's some sort of conversation from there. That's where I'm at, is that I just want to see more people saved for TV to build a story than immediately jumping into the next stop for every match. Some matches, okay, not all of them.
I would like no wrestling on this wrestling show. What if we did that?
I mean, what would that look like? It would be a debate. I've watched some pretty interesting debates lately.
Could you imagine the main event is just Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley just like having a spirited debate about the ideology of wrestling?
Honestly, I think I'd enjoy it a lot. That'd be the best podcast of the week for me. But you know what? Forget it. I'm done. I don't even want to think about the main event anymore. Wrestling is done. All I want is this ideological conversation about wrestling. Those two guys having that conversation, moderated by, I don't know, would you have William Regal moderate the conversation?
Well, he can't. He's, he works elsewhere.
We'll do an external podcast. It's fine. It'll be on a third party podcast.
It can't be Regal. It's Shivani. Shivani's hosting it.
That sounds awful. Back in the Jim Crockett days. Shut up, Shivani. Well, Washington will host it. That's fine. He's a good moderator for this stuff.
Fair. Yeah,
he's good. Our guest is early. If they're ready, we can bring them on. How about a thumbs up? It's usually what I do. There you go. Do you want to queue up this guest?
Well, this is your job, Joel.
This was your booking.
This is your job.
Very, very excited. Very, very much looking forward. Sorry, I'm on like no sleep, so you got to give me this. Very much looking forward to our next conversation. You can. You know what? Let's let him talk for himself. He is a wrestler out of OKC, out of the state of Oklahoma. He's been a part of the conversations involving the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission's stance on professional wrestling. Plenty to say. He was in the room for the recent meeting of the Athletic Commission. We're going to invite him on now. The one and only Logan Knight joins us now. Good morning.
Well, how's it going, guys?
Well, how are you? Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, sorry for being a little early. Things got done, cleared up, so I figured I'd join up.
No problem at all. No problem. I'd ask you your thoughts on the ideology of wrestling. Do you agree with Bryan Danielson's stance or Jon Moxley's stance, since you were backstage to hear which was that little conversation we were having? But let's get into it. For people who don't know, so I'll try to set this up as best I can. There was a lot going into the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission and intergender wrestling, and how AEW basically got punished for having Nyla Rose on the show. This was back in December, and kind of things came out earlier in January, and then there's been talk over this entire year basically of changing the rule, and now they've moved it to, we're going to let, I guess, the state legislature kind of decide everything. So for those who may not be familiar with it, and who may not be familiar with you, what other background can you just provide our audience with when it comes to this?
So with the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission stuff, like you said, it kind of started with Nyla Rose and AEW, with her wrestling a woman named Alejandra Lyon. They tried to say they would fine her or suspend or whatever if it happened again. And AEW ran one more show here and then hasn't ran again since February. And I honestly don't think they plan on doing it again if this is the case with how they're going to be treated, which I understand, rightfully so. But what it boils down to is here in Oklahoma, like, things are still super far behind with the rest of the world in terms of professional wrestling. Like, Oklahoma is considered the modern frontier. I would say Oklahoma is a pretty progressive state for being in the South, but at the same time, there's still going to be some pushback and other people that don't think the same. And with the rules in Oklahoma, you can't have intergender wrestling, and trans wrestlers also have to wrestle the same gender that they were born as. So there's a lot of rules in Oklahoma that are outdated. Like, even we can't wrestle inanimate objects. So that's another fun rule we have, and it dates back about 20 years to early 2000s when these rules were made, but no one can really answer as to who made these rules or why they were made in the first place, because one of the commissioners on the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission is a wrestler from the 80s and 90s here in Oklahoma named Rick Garrett, and he went on record on the meeting saying he got to wrestle women during his time period. So I think now we're trying to figure out where things went wrong and all of that. it feels like the commission doesn't understand really the difference between professional wrestling and traditional like mat wrestling that you would see in the Olympics or at school, and that they want to classify it the same, and it's not really fair to do so. When you have a commissioner, all the commissioners on the board agreed that professional wrestling is not a sport, but for some reason we're still sitting here having the conversation of them overseeing us, which makes no sense to me.
I think. Oh, go ahead, Joel.
Sorry. Then at what point, what do they consider professional wrestling?
That's like what I'm asking. That was my main question at the meeting. I have been pushing for the intergender rule and the transgender rule to get lifted, and that was my main hit in July at the original meeting that we had. However, after the conversations we had Thursday, I think my fight has kind of changed. It's still with my community and being an ally to the trans community, but like now it's turned into, we have a governing authority taking money out of a business that already doesn't really make a lot of money at the independent level, trying to govern something they don't understand at all. And it's really hurtful because it felt like they didn't even want to hear us out. They held the public forum speaking for the professional wrestling stuff after the vote had already happened to decide if they were going to overturn the rule or not, which they honestly didn't even vote on that at the end of the day. They just voted to take it to legislature, so it wasn't their problem anymore. What they voted on after the professional wrestling thing is really what I think pissed a lot of us off. They preach to us that they're trying to guarantee safety and they want to look into the specifics of male versus female competition in professional wrestling, which it's not hard. We've invited them out to shows. I'm in an intergender tag team called Only Friends, and we perform in Wichita all the time. We perform in Kansas City. I've offered members of the commission comp, like tickets, and I'll pay their gas. I just want them to come see it and, form their own opinion and not just kind of like go with what the norm is around here. And it's tough because what they voted on after professional wrestling, when they mentioned all this stuff about safety, is they legalized bare knuckle boxing in Oklahoma. So I'd like to know how that's safer than professional wrestling in any aspect, because while I'm sitting here having 60 to 100 matches a year, I'd be very impressed if you found me a bare knuckle boxer that's doing the same.
I think bare knuckle boxing, they get maybe 2 fights a year, and that's about it. Would it be easier to almost reclassify professional wrestling to not a sport and instead, I guess, an entertainment brand?
Yes, and so that's something I was trying to speak on at the meeting and get into, and I told them that I am not calling for the complete disbandment of the commission. I think the commission does offer some sort of service because they do make us get a physical and they do make us get blood work, and that is important. But also that they don't really do anything beyond that. Like the I don't know what to call them, inspectors, I guess, that they send to all these shows in Oklahoma. They don't really stay there and make sure that the rules are being enforced. They'll get there at the beginning of the show, make sure everybody has their licenses, get their payout, and then leave. So there's not really anybody actually enforcing the rules there. So who's to say that intergender can't be happening in Oklahoma already? It's just happening under their nose because they don't actually do the full extent of their job. And that's not anybody on the commission board's fault. It's just like there needs to be a sense of everybody needs to pull together and do the same job, because if one end of the commission isn't doing their job, it makes the higher up guys look like they're the problem. And that's kind of what's going on right now. I asked them if they're going to consider us a sport and classify us as a sport, why can't we treat this like any other major league sport as far as, reclassifying rules? Because the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, every major sporting league has a association of players and league officials that reviews reviews every year or every couple of years the rules that are going on in said association. So it begs the question of, we made these rules 20, 23, 25 years ago, something like that, and we can't really point to why we did it. Why can't we reclassify them now? I think it's time for an update,
I'm very curious about Rick Garrett because you mentioned he's a former pro wrestler. Yes. Has he been more, I guess friend or foe is the only way I can think of it, because in terms of this conversation, has he been more helpful to the conversation or not as helpful?
I think he has been helpful. I know he talked to a lot of them to kind of like get them to understand what professional wrestling is, but at the same time, he is a little bit older, so I'm not going to say it in a sense of disrespect, but professional wrestling's changed. All sports have changed since, he was about my age. I'm 25. He's about 60 or 70 now. And every sport's changed since then. Every ruling and how the game is played has changed since then. And I think it is important, while he's on our side, it's important that we still need to go back and look at some of these rules, even if they were happening in his day or not. And I think the ban of intergender wrestling, while he used to do it in the 80s and 90s, I think it's regressive. I don't think it's helping anybody.
You mentioned that you've offered comps and they haven't shown up, or has there been a conversation about that, or are they just basically kind of ghosted?
So I offered it in July, and a few of us offered it again here at this last October meeting. And it's one of those things where it's like in person, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds great. We're definitely interested in that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, cool. We have the conversation, and you can even have a follow-up email with them being like, hey, here's the next date of so-and-so show. Does this work for you? And then it's just dead radio silence. I can attest to a story of radio silence with the commission recently, because we were supposed to vote on the male versus female ruling in July, on July 10th at the recent meeting before this October one. And instead what happened is they decided to push it to October. And the reason for that was because a lot of new information was brought to the table to them that they didn't know, so they didn't feel quite educated to take the vote then. So they decided that they were going to take the vote here in October. And so what I was going to have here in October, I was going to ask them if I could, have a letter from someone or FaceTime someone to speak during the public forum speaking time to the rest of them. And that someone was Nyla Rose, because Nyla Rose has been in contact with me since the situation involving her potential fine. And I just wanted to keep her updated with the story, because it's a terrible thing that happened to her. I mean, she still got to wrestle, which is great, but it's like, now you don't get to wrestle in this state that definitely wants to see you wrestle. OKC was completely behind her during that match, and a lot of us were wanting her to wrestle again in Tulsa, but with the ever looming fine, it didn't seem like it was going to be possible. And I was going to try and ask her if she wanted to write a letter to the commission that I could read for the rest of the commission. And I emailed asking the commission if that was something that would be allowed. And I got an email back saying that they didn't know if male versus female was going to be on the agenda for October 8th. And that made me confused, because that's the entirety of, it wasn't the entirety of the July 10th meeting, because there's other sports that have their stuff to talk about there too, but it was the entirety of the professional wrestling portion of the meeting. So it made me kind of think, does this woman, was she not understanding of what happened at her own meeting, or did we all just get ribbed kind of in a way of like, we're not actually on the agenda, and they just kind of pushed it to the side? And it wasn't until Friday of last week that I got a message back from one of the commission board members saying it was completely allowed. But I mean, by that time it was like, it's like I have 4 days till the meeting. I might as well just keep my same game plan I have now. They waited 2 months to email me back on something that was definitely on the agenda the entire time, but they made it out to seem like it wasn't. And I told them, I was like, I have video evidence, and Fox News has video evidence of you guys saying this will be on the agenda on October 8th. But, I think that's what's really boiling a lot of us, is that it doesn't seem like everyone is on the same page in the commission, and nobody really knows what's going on as far as professional wrestling. So I think it's really important that we need to take a step back and look at what professional wrestling is to the rest of the world and the rest of the country, and even the surrounding states. Like I don't know if this is 100% true, but as far as the research I've done, Oklahoma is the only state that has a wrestling commission over professional wrestling that has the rule of intergender wrestling is not allowed. We are the only state that does not allow intergender wrestling, at least in this region of the country. And I know GCW does it all Northeast all the time. So, I mean, I'd love for someone to tell me I'm wrong, because it sounds gross, and I'd really like to not be the last state that gets that rule flipped, but I have a strong feeling we might be.
Yeah, I know there's other wrestling commissions that states have, and a lot of it is like, oh, you can't use blood, you can't get exactly. This violence on certain stuff. But this was really the first I'd heard of, hey, no intergender wrestling. It's become almost such an accepted thing in wrestling, because you see it on just about every independent show out there, that when this news came out earlier this year, it's like, wait a second, what is happening with this? So my next question was like, have you been in contact with Nyla? Because she's really at the crux of all of this, and all of this like doesn't come out if she's not on the ROH show, and it becomes a bigger deal because AEW is involved. You know, maybe there have been independent shows where, hey, you kind of do some intergender wrestling and it skirts under the radar because it's an independent show. AEW does this, someone informs the commission of it, and it becomes a bigger deal. So yeah, your conversations with Nyla about this.
Yeah, I've talked to Nyla on 2 different occasions. The first time, I don't remember who contacted who, but it was about the original article that it came out. And at the time, some of us were suspended in Oklahoma, myself included, because we had worked a show on Native American land. And in Oklahoma, if it's on Native American land, the commission can't oversee it. So the show is completely in its means, and the commission didn't care to do their due diligence and look into the venue or I guess the area at all, because they just decided to suspend all of our licenses. And so that happened the same week as the Nyla Rose situation. So Oklahoma as a whole was getting a lot of attention right there for that. And so we had essentially talked about just like, taking the fight to the commission. It's not really right. And I think after the July 10th meeting, I had spoke to her one more time and let her know essentially what the direction was now going forward and what we plan on doing. I actually haven't been in contact with her since the October 8th meeting because it's been a lot to digest, and the conversation has kind of transformed entirely from just the intergender and transgender topic. While that is still a fight, that is the fight as it started, but now it's kind of evolving and turning into not only they don't understand what gender is or intergender wrestling, they also don't understand what professional wrestling is as a whole. And I feel like that is like, I thought we were 20 years behind, and now we're actually 50. We're actually 50 or 60, maybe even 70 years behind, because I don't know. It's insane to me. It's just insane to me.
So some of this sounds like it's a kayfabe conversation, which we can get into that. But I'm curious, is the commission aware that wrestlers from all identities train together?
Yes, and that's something I told them about. And a lot of the fight back with them has been that there's only like 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 women in Oklahoma for the last like 10 years that have wrestled here. And so when you have these laws, you get the same matchups nearly every weekend, and these women can't grow on their own home territory. They have to travel just to be able to get a rep in. And like, while that very well may be the indie lifestyle that you're supposed to pursue, it shouldn't be like forced upon you. These ladies should be able to comfortably grow in their own home and be able to wrestle like they do at training school, because nothing different's done here in the training. They're trained by the dudes. They're trained with all of us. The trainer's the same. They have practice matches with the guys. It's not like, I mean, there's danger in every aspect of life. There's always an element of potential danger, no matter where you are, or what you do, or what hobby you have. And I feel like it's restricting them in a way that's like a little bit unconstitutional. It's making them not be able to take a path in their career that should be under discrimination. Honestly, it's weird, because this isn't an actual physical sporting competition of, who's got more brawn or more athletic ability. This is a simulation. And that's just been the conversation with the women, though, and I want better for them.
You just put this statement out a few hours ago, earlier this morning, that while it's a tough decision to make, I'll no longer be doing any more wrestling dates in Oklahoma beyond my final 2 bookings until the rule is changed. I feel like now is more important than ever to stand by my morals as both a wrestler and a man. I think this is going on with the commission is not only wrong, but incredibly misinformed. It goes against the few constitutional rights, and they seem to be perfectly fine with being uneducated. This by no means is saying I'm giving up. I still live here. I still train here, and I'm still going to continue my fight against the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission. However, I will not be putting any money in their pocket in the meantime. And then you have 2 more dates: November 23rd for This Is Wrestling, December 21st for the Empire Pro Wrestling. So I'm gonna get those 2 dates out there. Just talk to us a little bit about this decision, and what made you. We've learned a little about what made you, but like you're kind of putting your money where your mouth is, of almost of like, hey, you guys aren't doing this, so you know what? I'm not going to support basically the Oklahoma State wrestling community anymore by wrestling.
Yeah, it was a hard decision, but it was also kind of an easy one. I haven't wrestled too much in Oklahoma the last couple of months, barring I was a little bit injured, so I tried to not wrestle as often as possible so I could heal up better than normal. But last year, I was the Oklahoma Wrestler of the Year. Matches in Oklahoma, and I felt like it was important to show a president that, like, while I do all this traveling and while I'm doing all these shows elsewhere, I'm still an Oklahoma guy. I take great pride in being from Oklahoma. I want to make it better here. I don't think this stigma that Oklahoma needs to be left in the dirt and never seen again, as far as booking AEW here again or having another professional wrestling show. I think people need to be seeing this in a light as we need to help Oklahoma. The fans like it here. The fans like intergender wrestling. They like having trans performers. I mean, Oklahoma City and Tulsa are both lively for the LGBTQ community, especially entertainers. And I just think it's important to kind of understand that we're not responsible for this. This is a government agency that we have no control over. Like, this isn't a public vote kind of thing. This is like 10 or 12 people on a closed door making these decisions. And so I feel it's important for me to set an example that it doesn't matter if you're one of the biggest cats in Oklahoma. If something's wrong here, it needs to be addressed and it needs to be stood upon, because I feel like that in professional wrestling, we are responsible for our own community. We really have to do police things ourselves. No one's ever gonna, put the handcuffs on the boys for doing anything unless it's one of the other wrestlers. So it's just, I want to lead by example. I'm young, but at the same time, I've been wrestling for 5 or 6 years now, and I want to make Oklahoma better. And I feel like this is the right step, because it's just, we can't be putting money in the pockets of people that are stealing from us, essentially.
Well, before we let you go, and we want to thank you so much for joining us and being so generous with your time.
Yeah.
How can people who are not in the state of Oklahoma help out or be a part of this conversation if they wanted to be a part of it?
I think if you're outside of Oklahoma, the best we can keep doing is just keep making the story as public as possible. It's going to fall into the right laps eventually. It's already fallen into a few of the right laps, because what we're trying to do locally, and if you do live in Oklahoma, what we're doing now is to contact our local representatives for the state, contact some senators if possible, which we've already gotten a hold of a few. We're trying to bring this up to legislature just like the commission is, but we're kind of trying to go about it our own way. The commission wants to present it to legislature as a gender issue. We want to present it to legislature as this is unconstitutional and this is entertainment kind of like issue, while kind of comboing both things. Like we're not forgetting the gender identity issues or the intergender wrestling issues. That's a battle we're trying to still take, but it's evolved beyond that. And so we're trying to take this attack at every angle, because if they give us enough ammunition, it's going to work out eventually. But if we can get every representative and senator, kind of have eyes on the situation and realize that it's wrong at the end of the day. I mean, the neighboring states with athletic commissions don't even do this. So I want us to be more like our neighbors. But that's the best way to help, is like, if you're in Oklahoma, contact your local reps and your senators. And if you're outside of Oklahoma, let's keep pushing this story as far as we can.
Put yourself over finally before we let you on out of here.
Real quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
Before you do plugs and everything, since you're from Oklahoma, are you a Thunder fan by chance?
Okay, so my family is from Michigan, so I'm a Detroit Pistons fan and a Detroit Lions fan. But I got into basketball before the Thunder were a team, so that's my defense. However, since I'm here, I OKC Thunder games when they face the Pistons yearly in April. I usually take my childhood best friend, and it's been a good tradition of ours. We still do it to this day. So I'm really looking forward to watching the Thunder stomp out the Pistons again this year.
Well, they've lost. I was so mad they lost to the Pistons last year. It's like, oh, I'm a Thunder fan.
I know. It happens every year. We always kind of we stop making bets now because he loses every time. The Thunder will be light years better, but every time I show up, it's the Pistons, baby.
Now I know who to blame for when we lose to the Pistons. I'm a Thunder fan. I live in Ohio, so I'm kind of a reverse there. But yeah, dude, we look good this season. I'm always cautiously optimistic. But had to ask since you were from Oklahoma.
Of
And
course,
I
man.
know they do a bunch in the community and are just big overall, since that's kind of the big outside of college football being Oklahoma. That's the big sports team there in Oklahoma. So had to ask. Okay, go ahead. Let everybody know where they can find you at and what you got going on.
For sure. So I'm on all social media at Logan Knight Pro. That's PRO at the end of my name. I'm pretty easy to find on there. I'm like one of the only Logan Knights, I think, but I'm probably the best one. Who knows? We need to get us all in a room and kind of just like have a fight. I think that'd be a lot of fun. A Logan Knight Royal Rumble. But some things I got coming up that I'm excited for. Next Friday, I'm going to be wrestling Warhorse Jake Parnell at Fountain City Pro in Kansas City. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. This is going to be my first encounter with Jake Parnell, and really my first encounter with somebody of this high of a pedigree and, caliber as a wrestler. I'm not even just saying this to, rub him up or anything. I do truly think he might be the best independent wrestler in the country. So I want to, show my chops, show I got a little bit of, on the spotlight. I'm a little bit brighter than people seem. But I got to try and show Warhorse up. And that match I've been looking forward to for a while. We were supposed to have it in July, but, card subject to change. Things happen. I'm glad we're getting it back in October, though. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to keep doing my intergender tag team stuff with my tag partner, Stormy Renee. I have a lot of fun doing that, and it's honestly the most fun I've had doing probably anything in my life, and it makes us a lot of money. So if I can keep those two things up, I'm in good shape.
You've been in great shape for this conversation, and I'm sure the other ones you've been doing as well. Logan, I want to thank you for your time this morning. It's appreciated.
Of course. Thank you.
Good luck with
Thank
everything.
you, Logan.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. One and only, Logan Knight. I was going to do partner promo punch in the face, but I don't know any other members of the athletic commission, so just let it flow.
Yeah, we could get Larry Lovelace. There was the new. Well, they wouldn't allow if it was a woman. You can't strike.
Rick Garrett.
Intergender there.
We gotten Rick Garrett.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Logan for joining us this morning. It was a very good conversation, very good information coming out of everything that's going on with the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission, OSAC, as it is named.
OSAC,
the Oklahoma.
I mean,
State.
It is, but it just sounds dirty.
Listen, whose sack is it anyway? Hangman Adam Page takes on Jay White to continue our WrestleDream preview that went in
now for something completely different.
Hangman's from West Virginia.
He's from Virginia. I don't think he's West.
He's not West. You're right. He's just Virginia. He's from the right Virginia.
Yeah.
And Jay White, of course, the Kiwi himself. But this looks like a fun match. But what do we expect out of this?
More run-ins.
More run-ins. This is the match that I'm looking forward to on a couple of different levels. One is both men are. Jay White's just come back. He's put his mission statement out there. He wants a world title shot. Hangman Adam Page has once stopped Jay White from doing that, but also Hangman is Hangman. He's been on his own tear. There is a story of two men who can't afford to lose, but one of them, I assume, will have to lose this match. And both men are going after the world title at one point. What's that?
Time limit draw.
TLD, baby. 15 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm curious as to who comes away with a victory here. It feels like Hangman can afford a loss a little bit more. I don't know if I'm beating Jay White so quickly upon his return. Where Hangman, I don't think he should lose. This is not my idea. I feel like I heard someone say this. I'll take credit for it though, as all good people do. What if MVP helps Jay White to show Swerve, like, see the kind of stuff that I can offer, or Shelton, one of the two. What if we go that route?
If Swerve's return goes into this match, if it comes before or after this match, which would make sense given Hangman and Swerve, then yeah, I could see this happening. If we see Swerve and MVP on the stage doing whatever they're going to do, and then this match goes on, then I can see what you're saying happening. But if it's not there, then it feels out of place. And again, we get back into who gets involved in what matches to not have everyone get involved in everyone's matches. Or do you just have one person win this match clean as a sheet? You can't beat Jay White. You're right. Jay just came back. You could use did they say that it was his foot? Like, did they say why he was out of action? Like what the injury was on TV?
Not that I recall.
The only
It's
reason
possible they did. I might have just missed it.
So if they have, or if they make reference to it, then you can actually use that as a reason for him to lose. Heyman goes after Jay White's foot or whatever the injury was. He goes after that foot. He targets the foot. He gets the win based on beating him because he went after the foot that just healed, and therefore Hangman's just a bigger piece of garbage human being. Jay White loses because he was targeted.
I don't think it was a foot. Darby was a foot, right?
But wasn't the problem the explosivity of the foot when they were trying to get ready for Jay White's return?
Oh, maybe.
I think that was
that
part
online?
of the reporting. I think that was part of Sean's reporting, was that was when he was trying to get cleared, there was concern about explosivity, like being able to push off with that foot. So I think it was a foot or some sort of lower body injury, as they would say in sports. So if that's the case, yeah, Hangman can target the injured area and win the match based on that, and it wouldn't look bad. Jay White wouldn't look bad in defeat. He would just look like a guy who just got back from an injury that's kept him out for months, and it's a ring rust thing, because his only match so far since coming back was the match against Cody Chun, which was a very easy squash match for Jay White.
Cody Chun's going to challenge for the Continental title, is what
he should. Jay White, honestly, like, you can play the game where Jay White is just like, he came back too quickly, and that's that. Hangman Page joins the Bang Bang Gang.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Oh, I'm just putting ideas out there. Yeah, curious about where this goes. Beast Mortos, hologram, 2 out of 3 time limit draws. This is a match that's going to exist to either move forward with LFI and give hologram his first loss, or hologram continues to roll on.
Does this count as 2
wins? Well, if hologram loses the 2 out of 3 falls match, it's a loss.
It's not really a loss.
What do you
he doesn't lose the match. He just loses a fall.
No. I'm saying the match winner, forget the 2 out of 3 falls part. If somebody wins this match, I'm saying like 2 falls to 1 or 2 falls to nothing, whatever. Like, does hologram either lose this match, lose, or does Beast Mortos lose this match?
Yeah, hologram wins. Hologram is,
This is my problem with it. Like, Beast Mortos is very over. He's in this group. He's now officially with LFI. LFI just got Jake Roberts. Hologram is on a tear and he's winning. This is his first pay-per-view main card match. But what are we doing with hologram? Like, there's been no
strapping him up, baby.
But that's the thing. There's been no attempt to do that, to put him in that orbit, or at least make it feel like he's going into contention. He is undefeated. You either continue with him being undefeated and he goes on to go for a title, or do you go on with the LFI storyline with Beast Mortos being in this match? That's kind of where I'm at.
Beats Beast Mortos. He beats Trilistico. He beats Rouge.
That I'm
he
okay
beats with. Jake Roberts. He beats all these dudes. Beats Okada.
Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
Good Lord. What did Jake the Snake do?
He aligned himself with the wrong people.
Maybe he didn't say LFI. Maybe he was asking for something else. Actually, I was asking for some KFC, but they heard me as LFI. His voice is very hard to hear sometimes.
Yeah. He beats all of them.
There we go. I was waiting for you to finish that sentence.
He should win to both these falls, by the way. I ain't pinning hologram.
I'm fine with that. What if he
Lucha Goldberg?
Luchaberg.
Yeah.
Gold Luch. No, that sounds bad. Luchaberg.
This is how you combat the return of Big Bill.
No, Big Bill's on the learning tree.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Match earlier in the night.
Goldberg. Lucha Goldberg, baby.
Lucha Goldberg. Okay.
You hateful penis rider. Why criticize somebody that you don't know? You are not on the AEW payroll. They don't know you. They don't care about your opinion. They don't need you to speak for them, nor would they say anything about somebody that don't work for them.
I'm sorry. What is this? This is about the Osprey one, isn't it?
No. Mark Henry has tweeted this.
No, Mark.
He's replying to WWE Botched, who said something about Jade.
Oh, well, then of course he's going to go go to
Mark
Pat.
Henry called him a hateful penis rider.
Jesus Christ. He probably tried to do Dick Rider, and then X was like, nope. Good Lord. I thought that was someone in your replies. Turns out it's a public
I mean,
figure.
maybe I mute all that stuff. I don't care what these people have to say to me.
Cannot blame you. Anyway.
Somebody probably has called me a hateful penis rider. I just ignored it.
Should be
Big Dick Rider, that Michael Cole.
You're gonna have to change your lower third for Monday's show.
I gotta get that clip. Hold on. We need that as a drop on this show. That Big Dick Rider. It's got to be a drop on this show. I don't know why it hasn't been this whole time, but that's on me. That's on me. We're gonna correct that right now when I can find this clip because I know I've cut it before.
Oh, of course. While you're doing that, can I move on?
What are we moving on to?
To the next match. There's 2 matches left.
If you'd like.
Listen, if you don't want to be spoiled, cover your ears right now for a match that really doesn't matter. MXM Collection takes on the Acclaimed.
What? Why are you? Who cares?
That's why I gave.
You said there's 2 matches. I was like, oh, cool. What a.
No, it's not one of the main events. Yeah, I don't care about this one. And the main event, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Up until this point, Jeremy, you and I have been pretty steadfast in the idea that Danielson loses this match. Starting to think maybe Danielson retains his title.
Have I been steadfast in that Danielson loses this match?
You've been pretty steadfast.
I don't.
That Moxley's going to take the title.
You can't remind. I can't remember the things that I've done. Okay.
You also said that you would send me $100,000 via PayPal.
That's incorrect.
You don't know that. You don't remember what you did 5 minutes ago.
Incorrect. Yeah, that's true. But like, I know I didn't do that.
We'll see about that. MLW just said Atlanta will be the Super Fight 6 location, February 8th. Oh, you know, Jeremy, what's his face can go. Steven Jensen can go.
Well, maybe not.
If he wants. We'll see. Listen, kudos to MLW. They've been very open with having members of media cover their product. They have wanted it, which I appreciate. Yes. Not every wrestling company is a fan of it. This hateful penis rider content is getting people. It's getting numbers.
Hateful penis rider is what that man said. Fair.
Oh God. Should we
fair?
So the Danielson stuff. The article from yesterday that dropped over on Fightful from an interview that Danielson did about
with Yahoo Sports, the Uncrowned. Let's make sure we give them credit.
I wanted you to pick that up in a minute because I didn't know where it came from. We got the transcription as we did. So it's from Uncrowned. And Danielson effectively said that his lower body was tingling during the match on Dynamite, the tag match. And it wasn't because he was excited. It was
because he was wrestling Okada.
That's
Okada
true.
Brought that out of him.
It just got him tingling in all the places. Danielson loves to lie. His best friend Cody Rhodes taught him that lying is fun.
Factual.
Did he tip his hand a little too much, or is Bryan maybe he's being serious? I'm starting to think that maybe Danielson could retain the title on Saturday. You're still looking for that stupid clip, aren't you?
I found it.
Okay, good. I was like, you're not giving me anything, so you're busy.
I found it.
Come on, this show's already going over.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Talking about Danielson. Is he love to lie? Is he going to retain his title? Did he tip his hand a little too much in that interview?
Love the Way You Lie is a Eminem song with Rihanna.
I'm pretty sure Rihanna wrote the song and he just sampled it.
I don't feel like that's true at all.
Just gonna stand. Isn't that song?
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like.
Oh, really? Is it actually his song?
Yes, it's his song. What do you?
I don't know. I don't normally think about choruses being sampled like that.
It was on Recovery.
No, I see that. Yes. I didn't realize it was his song. I thought he sampled it with Rihanna. I thought it was a Rihanna song that got into it too, but no, it's not.
No.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
There's a part 2 that she did. Are you thinking of part 2?
Not at all.
Okay.
Bryan Danielson, your favorite wrestler.
Big Dick Rider.
He clipped it. Mark Henry, how do you feel about that one guy?
Big dick rider.
I'm sure that
Roman rules so much. This man is amazing.
if Mark is on Busted Open this weekend with Denise, someone's gonna have to ask him about that.
I hope Roman comes out tonight and he just Solo Sikoa, big dick rider, riding the coattails of The Rock. Then he just buries Terramana. Jacob Fatu, big dick rider. Love this man. What were we talking about?
No, what do you think? What do we think we're talking about?
Dicks, big dicks.
Who's your favorite wrestler?
Roman Reigns.
I can tell. Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
Is he gonna retain his title?
Nah.
Did he tip his hand a little too far?
I feel like he's working with these comments, Feels like.
But did he go a little too far and tip? Did he tip his hand about his feeling?
No.
Go ahead.
Because not everybody reads this stuff. Contrary to popular belief, not everybody is reading all of this. So I don't know how many people actually saw this.
These guys are cutting promos about articles that are in SI on TV.
Yeah, that's true. That was weird.
You kind of have to assume that they're trying to play into everyone reads everything at that point.
Yeah, that's a dangerous way to live.
Yeah, that's not a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah. So I do think Moxley or Danielson's losing, though. You're right that I have been steadfast that he was going to lose at WrestleDream. I thought maybe initially it was going to be Christian cashing in, and it still could be. But this Moxley story lends itself to Moxley winning, because if you're going to do this takeover and say Danielson's way is the wrong way, Moxley winning, you get more mileage out of that. I'm still under the belief that it's more of an idea, and we're going to get Wheeler Yuta probably turning, but Yuta's not the higher power. He just turns and it's an idea with everything, and Yuta sees the idea.
Okay. And again, it's the idea that Danielson didn't come to his aid. He never cared about him, but Jon Moxley has always been the truth.
Moxley and Claudio, because you got to remember this Claudio promo. I know Claudio kind of beat him down on Tuesday, hitting him with the hammer and stuff. But Claudio on Collision was remember, I've always had your back and I always will. That was a good promo on Collision that they cut in the backstage area. I know a lot of people missed it because they weren't watching Collision, but that was good stuff there. It
was also the same Collision that aired opposite Bad Blood. So
part of it. Yeah.
So I do. I went back and I watched it. That was one of the segments that I called out when we were talking about it last Monday, or this past Monday. And yeah, you're right. This was something that definitely called attention to Yuta's allegiance to Claudio and to Moxley. What's Pac about in this whole thing then? Is Pac just there because they have?
He's about thug life.
He's about thug life. Okay, just making sure. But yeah, I don't know. My feeling seems to be that Danielson is going to retain at this point. But if you do that, another thing that you've brought up, and I fully agree with, is you can't do this takeover-esque story for another time and have Moxley come up short.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, this is the tough thing. Maybe Danielson loses, but he doesn't go away for very long. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe he really is just playing up the role of, I need to get out of here. I'm so hurt that I need to go. And it's as easy as that. He gets beat up so bad, like you and I have talked about, maybe there's a stretcher involved. And then whatever is supposed to be happening with Moxley and this reveal, whether it be a physical entity or him being about an ideology, maybe that's what it is.
I think Moxley wins. I don't think there's a stretcher job or anything. Moxley wins. He gets his moment, whatever. And then Danielson gets a standing ovation. Everyone knows it's his last full-time match. He gets a standing ovation and he goes away. He goes away until, let's say, January. Maybe he comes back then because he wants to work Wrestle Dynasty in Japan. I don't know if he wants to travel to Japan. I realize hey, going away and then traveling to Japan when my whole goal was to spend time with my family. And the family goes to Japan with them.
Bring the family. Yeah, you bring the family to Japan.
They on some type of they on Christmas break during that time. So I think he can go away until January. But you don't need to do like this big stretcher job to take him out. People know it's his last match. People know it's his last full-time match. They did a very good job playing that up on Tuesday. You know, we talked about that on Monday of like, I wish they would play it up more. They did a good job of playing that up on Tuesday. So he can have his moment, have a standing ovation in his home state, and then he goes away. And then Jon Moxley on Wednesday cuts the promo of whatever Jon Moxley is going to cut, talking about ideas, talking about how Bryan Danielson let you down. Now he's gone. We'll never see him again. And he will be gone for a while.
And then out comes the money.
If this show ends with Shane McMahon, I will pop so big.
I do love that everyone but us at Fightful, like, sorry, let me rephrase this so it's not lost, Louise. Of all the people who do reporting on scoops and things like that, Sean is the only one who has not reported about Shane's involvement or non-involvement on screen. Dave's talked about it. Wade's talked about it. People have talked about it, and they've all said, no, Shane's not going to be a part of it, which to me just turns around and makes me say, oh, he's totally a part of it. But also, I don't know, and I'm just messing around. It would be crazy. It would be insane. It would be stupid, which is partially why you and I sit here and talk about it. From a storyline standpoint, it makes little to no sense. And we can't keep saying, oh, I trust so-and-so to make it make sense, because Moxley can do a lot of things, but like, he doesn't always get it when he cuts that promo, whatever that promo is. He does a good job of it most of the time, but this is one time where I'm like, how would you explain the Shane McMahon? How would you explain this guy?
Shane McMahon always had the vision, baby. He saw UFC was going to blow up. He wanted to bring Raw Underground. Shane McMahon has always had that gritty, dirty vision. Shane McMahon was somebody who went out there and did everything he needed to do to win a wrestling match, just like Jon Moxley. Shane McMahon was willing to put it all on the line for himself to win these wrestling matches. Shane McMahon was willing to fight Brock Lesnar, shoot fight him. He was willing to stand up to old Vince. You know, he's ready to fight that man too. Maybe he would have stabbed him in the heart in the Paul Heyman story. He's the best in the world. Jon Moxley recognizes that.
And he brings in the money, the best in the world, the guy, Shane McMahon. And he brings in the friend.
My friend just texted me, the infamous Sammer. He wants a series. He wants a real answer out of this. Who cares about wrestling? This is wrestling question, actually. We're going to pose this to the chat, though. This is how we're going to close off our Friday, okay? Do you have anything else about WrestleDream?
No, that's it. That's all I got for WrestleDream. SmackDown's tonight. Roman's coming back. That's the big news. And LA Knight's going to take on Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. Championship. I was about to say the Knockouts tag team. The women's tag team championships are on the line. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are going to take on Jakara Jackson and what's her name? Oh my God. Lash Legend from the Metaphor. That's tonight on SmackDown.
Acknowledge the tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
Thank you.
WrestleDream will be a good show. Please do not have that press conference go until 3 in the friggin' morning.
Too bad.
That's all I'm asking.
Someone's going to ask a question. He's going to give 2 lines and he's going to say, did I answer your question? And they're going to say, yeah, kind of. And then he's going to go 15 minutes telling you about why he answered that question and everything else.
Sounds terrible. All right. So my friend Sammer, who people may or may not know, give me one serious answer and one funny answer. What would be a good wrestling match to show Kenny Omega, not the wrestler, my girlfriend? There's a whole backstory of why we named her Kenny Omega. I'm not going to give you the backstory. Knowing that she's never seen any. What would you say, chat? One wrestling match for Sammer to show his girlfriend, knowing she has not ever seen a wrestling match. Do you know what my answer was? One serious answer, one funny answer.
Can I guess your serious answer?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Can you guess my funny answer?
Miz versus Shane McMahon. No, I don't know. I was serious about your serious answer, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
My answer is the same for both.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Will's got it. Will in the chat has it for sure.
Correct. Will
That's
knows
the one.
me.
Yeah, Will gets it. That should have. Yeah,
that was my answer.
Yeah. That's
Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. He replied, "Bitch, I said 2 answers." And I just said, that's my answer for both.
And you're right.
He said like Angle and Ray from SummerSlam 2002 is what he wants to show her.
Well, what's his partner into? What kind of entertainment do they like? Do they like sports? Do they like funny stuff? Do they like high drama? Like what is it that gets them interested in wrestling or in any television show?
The answer is still Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville.
Don't get me wrong. I do agree with you. But and I go with WLC because WLC is just an entertaining, silly, fun match. Because again, it's comedic. What?
So he replied, I was thinking of Angle versus Ray from SummerSlam 2002. And he said, it's quick and fast paced. And I just replied, she's used to that.
Oh, you just popped yourself with that.
Yeah, that's funny to me.
That's funny.
He'll think it's funny.
It is funny. It's very good. Show her the My Sacrifice videos.
Could you imagine?
That does it. She's into it. Show her the beautiful day Triple H package and be like, you got to understand, this guy hates being on TV. He hates getting credit. He didn't want this video made about him at all, but they did it. And they picked the biggest band in the world because you know what? They wanted to show their appreciation for this man who never wants to be on TV. So they did it for him. WrestleDream is tomorrow. I hope everyone enjoys it. No Collision on Saturday. It's going to be AEW Collision Dream. Wrestle Collision. Do you have anything to plug?
PCO versus Top Dollar. That was a fun match, actually.
Yeah, that was a fun match. And Dollar we talked about it going into that match. He was like, he had a lot of things planned and some of it came to fruition. I even planted a sign for that man. That was a good match from Slammiversary this year. It's fun to watch live. Go do that. Joel, Jeremy, are we getting Lashley with the Swerve segment? I would assume. I'm not reporting anything.
No,
it certainly feels like he's going to be there. Certainly
Lashley will not be there.
I don't know if Lashley's going to be there. It feels like he will be, but who knows?
It's going to confuse all the audio listeners.
Sorry, audio listeners. You got to start watching us on YouTube now. And leave a thumbs up while you're at it. If you haven't left a 5-star, leave a 5-star review. If you haven't commented on this video, what's wrong with you? Jeremy, do you have anything to plug before we get out of here?
Remember what I said, everybody. Daniel Garcia, MJF, Little Nicky.
They're all going to laugh at you. For Jeremy Lambert, I am at Troll Pearl, JOELPERL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Live your life a quarter mile at a time.
That's right.